Li Long Immortal Emperor was different to Wu Hui Immortal Emperor. Although this dimension affected him greatly, it wasn't as bad as it was for Wu Hui Immortal Emperor. Yet, Yi Mo had the upper hand in the clash with the help of the dragon horse and his immortal god body. How was this possible? Was Yi Mo an immortal emperor but just hid his power to immortal king? Yi Mo was also sighing. Although he hunted Wu Hui Immortal Emperor, he would be struck away if he fought Wu Hui head-on. He used his immortal god body to give Wu Hui Immortal Emperor so much annoyance. But now he truly felt his progress. He could fight head-on with Immortal Emperor Middle Stage Li Long Immortal Emperor. With Shadowless's help, he didn't retreat a single step and Li Long Immortal Emperor was struck back instead. Li Long Immortal Emperor was different to Wu Hui Immortal Emperor. His power was far stronger than Wu Hui Immortal Emperor. Even Xian Feng Immortal Emperor was far weaker than Li Long Immortal Emperor during Immortal Emperor Middle Stage. Even so, he still had the upper hand. This meant that when he went out now, ordinary Immortal Emperor couldn't point fingers at him anymore. But Yi Mo also knew that there was still quite some distance between him and the top Immortal Emperors. Li Long Immortal Emperor retreated, but Yi Mo didn't let him go. He released Zisu again and smashed another crevice over. At the same time, he expanded his domain. His spirit sense was very powerful. His Immortal Monarch domain was no weaker than ordinary Immortal Emperor. Feeling Yi Mo's powerful domain and Shadowless come up, Li Long Immortal Emperor immediately knew that he was no match for Yi Mo here. If he was caught by Yi Mo's domain, he would suffer greatly even if he can get away. Plus he found out from other Immortal Emperors that Yi Mo was a madman. He chased Wu Hui Immortal Emperor for 2 months or so. Thinking about this, Li Long Immortal Emperor didn't want to keep fighting Yi Mo. Even if he was to, it would be after he left this dimension. Li Long Immortal Emperor spun and disappeared in a dashing light. Yi Mo looked at the direction with a bleak face. He knew that if he chased up, he would be able to find Li Long Immortal Emperor, but Yi Mo didn't have that much time to chase him. Neither He Chong nor Xian Feng Immortal Emperor thought that Li Long Immortal Emperor would run away. Xian Feng Immortal Emperor turned to run without saying anything. If he didn't go now, it would be staying to die. Haha. Yi Mo, I saw right of you indeed. He Chong immediately reacted. He didn't chase Xian Feng Immortal Emperor but raised his thumb to Yi Mo. Then he pointed at Shadowless. This dragon horse is so powerful. Can even devour domain and god art. What in the world can't it devour? I'm afraid even the legendary Shadowless worm is so-so. Yi Mo didn't hide it and pointed at Shadowless. This is evolved from Shadowless worm. Shadowless heard this and raised his head pridefully. Brother He Chong, how come most of the Immortal Emperor don't know you? Are you not from the 33 heavens? Yi Mo asked. He Chong smiled and said, I am from the 33 heavens. I originally came from Middle Heaven Domain Ji Yao Heaven. I was swept into a void crevice when I was crossing the void. In there, I had my fortune and after tens of thousands of years, I reached Immortal Emperor Middle Stage from Immortal Monarch Middle Stage. Now, I even reached Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage. Seeing Yi Mo days, He Chong Immortal Emperor said, I found a heritage in the void and used up almost all my resources to reach Immortal Emperor. Only when I reached Immortal Emperor Middle Stage did I find an opportunity to leave that crevice. But when I left, I didn't get back to the Immortal Realm lands and came in here again. No wonder the other Immortal Emperor didn't know him. By the way, Brother He Chong, how did you suddenly reach Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage? How did that Xian Feng Immortal Emperor reach Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage? Yi Mo asked. Yi Mo, you really hid your power level. He Chong saw that Yi Mo could see his cultivation level and replied in shock. Yi Mo nodded, yes, I'm actually an Immortal Monarch. Although I don't fear that long brows, my power level is probably the lowest here, so I hid my cultivation level. No wonder, He Chong said and then added, don't feel bad about yourself. Although that Xian Feng Immortal Emperor is Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage, he's probably no match for you. Yi Mo nodded. Xian Feng Immortal Emperor was weaker than Li Long Immortal Emperor. When he was Immortal Emperor Middle Stage, he was only a little bit stronger than Wu Hui Immortal Emperor. Even if he left the space, Emo didn't fear him with Shadowless's help. Two of these bastards chased me, otherwise, how can I fear them? Hichong Immortal Emperor cursed and then said, there's a huge palace inside. There's no lethal force in that palace. It's not only quiet but also has abundant immortal spirit chi. You know that palace, right? Emo nodded. Yes, Ji Lei Immortal Emperor told me. I haven't gone in yet because I'm all alone. I was planning to go in when I'm stronger. Let's go, we can go there together. Us two plus your shadowless worm. We won't even fear an immortal emperor peak. Hichong Immortal Emperor immediately said, I'm shadowless. Don't call me other things. Shadowless said unhappily. Haha. Hichong Immortal Emperor laughed and said to Emo, that palace probably isn't something of the immortal realm. No one knows where it came from. After the Grand Emperors broke open the restrictions, a huge yard appeared. Spirit sense couldn't even scan to the edge of the yard. There were countless restriction and a space formation door inside. The space formation door is very strange. Only those who can open it can go in. Emo immediately focused. After experiencing Title Status Tower, he knew that there were realms that had disappeared. When he was given his title, he saw a few sentences and one of them was, the God realm has disappeared. The stars are hidden. Hichong Immortal Emperor didn't know what Emo thought and kept saying, those restrictions were very hard to open. Some people can't even open one in years. I worked with other immortal emperors and spent nearly a decade to open one. Inside the restriction was a blue fruit. This fruit can allow an immortal emperor to break through without any side effects. But everyone can only have one. What's shocking is that no one can recognize what fruit it is. Emo called out in shock. Then wouldn't it be like a Du Luo Heaven fruit? Du Luo Heaven fruit could let people below great immortal break through once. That's right, it would be the Du Luo Heaven fruit of immortal emperors. I was lucky to get two, Xianfeng got one. I don't know if it's useful for you, but you can have this one. Then Hichong Immortal Emperor took out a jade box and gave it to Emo. Emo opened the box and saw an extremely blue fruit. It had no smell and looked ordinary. Emo couldn't recognize what fruit this was. Closing the jade box, he gave it back to Hichong Immortal Emperor. Even if I don't use this fruit, I will be reaching Immortal Monarch Tertiary stage soon. As long as I don't reach Immortal Emperor, this fruit would be a waste to give to me. You can keep it. When I need it, I'll ask for it. Okay. Hichong Immortal Emperor then said, I had conflict with that Long Brow due to this fruit. Long Brows was speaking bad things about you in the palace. I didn't like it and rebuked. However, the two were already scheming to rob my fruit. As soon as I left, the two bastards gained up on me. I had no help, so I could only run while asking for help from you. Then are the four Grand Emperors also in the palace? Emo asked. Hichong Immortal Emperor shook his head. The stronger people went into the space formation door. The weaker ones can only stay there to break restriction and find all sorts of immortal spirit items to improve their power in hopes of opening the door. I'm not strong enough to open the space formation door, so I can only stay with the other immortal emperors in the palace. Emo said without hesitation, let's go, we'll go to the palace. Emo didn't have much to worry hearing that the few Grand Emperors weren't there. This is the palace? Emo stood before an extremely ancient palace and asked. According to the jade slip Ji Lei Immortal Emperor gave him, the palace was here too. Yeah, it's here. Hichong Immortal Emperor replied. He had fully recovered with Yi Mo's supply of pills. The palace had no gate. It was pitch black inside and one couldn't see the surroundings of the palace clearly. One could only touch some obscure things with spirit sense. All the lethality of this dimension warped around the palace and disappeared. Emo just stood at this palace and watched from a brief moment before saying, let's go in first. Then he took Shadowless into the palace. Hichong Immortal Emperor followed closely. In the palace, Li Long Immortal Emperor ran off first and didn't tell Xianfeng Immortal Emperor, so the two didn't speak here. Xianfeng was quite annoyed Li Long ran off alone. The other immortal emperors glanced at them strangely but didn't ask. Li Long Immortal Emperor and Xianfeng Immortal Emperor clearly went to hunt Hichong Immortal Emperor, but now they were back and there was no signs of Hichong Immortal Emperor. he was probably dead. As for the two appearing not to be so harmonious, there was probably some discord on the division of loot. You dare to come here? Li Long, Immortal Emperor, immediately saw Yi Mo and yelled. After he yelled, he immediately realized, if Yi Mo really fought with him, he wouldn't be able to get help. Yi Mo ignored Li Long, Immortal Emperor, and went into the palace. His spirit sense scanned this palace and glanced at the shocked looks of the other immortal emperors. He saw Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, who nodded at him. This palace was extremely huge and there was a faint light formation. People could see the layouts of the palace clearly. There were more than 10 cushions that had extremely dense immortal spirit chi seeping out. In the middle of the palace, there was an extremely ancient chi swirling around, making Yi Mo feel he returned to the ancient times. Yi Mo studied the palace and the other immortal emperors said nothing. When Yi Mo was still immortal king, Shen Feng, Immortal Emperor, was very cocky to Yi Mo, but now when Yi Mo scanned his eyes over, he quickly lowered his head. He really didn't want to have conflict with Yi Mo. Haha. Sect leader Yi, long time no see. Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, reached Immortal Emperor tertiary stage. He greeted Yi Mo. Yi Mo saluted with his fists. Indeed. Xianxia Chen Bei. Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, saw that Li Long, Immortal Emperor, just yelled at Yi Mo once and said nothing more. How could he not know that this guy suffered in Yi Mo's hands just like Wu Hui? Seeing how Shen Feng, Immortal Emperor, didn't even say anything, he guessed that Shen Feng, Immortal Emperor, was probably scared of Yi Mo. He then smiled. Sect leader Yi, you can just call me Brother Xianxia. I don't dare to be some Chen Bei. Yi Mo didn't care that much. The respect in the immortal realm was determined by power. Now that his power was no weaker than Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, Yi Mo saluted with his fists. Okay. After I take care of some business, I'll come and chat with Brother Xianxia. Although there were 7 or 8 people here who hadn't seen Yi Mo, they've long heard of Yi Mo's name. Seeing Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, so polite to Yi Mo, and Yi Mo was indeed an immortal king middle stage, everyone was dazed. Was an immortal king middle stage really that powerful? But Shadowless caught more attention. Shadowless had golden wings and indeed looked like a dragon horse. However, he was uglier than a horse. The reason Yi Mo kept his power hidden at Immortal King middle stage was to tell people his cultivation level was long at Immortal Monarch. He just kept his power hidden, that's all. Okay, no problem. Xianxia, Immortal Emperor, smiled. He knew that it was probably to do with Li Long, Immortal Emperor, and Shen Feng, Immortal Emperor. Yi Mo then turned to Li Long, Immortal Emperor. Long-browed bastard. You robbed my dustless fruit and dares to ask me why I dare to come here. I want to see how strong you are. Shadowless. Cut off their escape. We'll have our revenge here. Seeing the strongest here was only Immortal Emperor tertiary stage and the Immortal Emperor peak stages weren't here, Yi Mo felt assured. As long as people like Feng Kong Grand Emperor weren't here, he didn't need to worry at all. If Feng Kong Grand Emperor was here, he would run away immediately. He Chong, Immortal Emperor, admired Yi Mo, seeing that he was looking for Li Long's trouble as soon as he came. Even he didn't dare to challenge Li Long here. Who knew if he had help here? Yi Mo, do you have no shame? When did I take your dustless fruit? I just robbed an empty box. You cunning bastard. You let me take an empty box and now you come back asking for dustless fruit. Li Long, Immortal Emperor, was furious. Yi Mo didn't attack immediately. He watched to see if there would be people to help Li Long, Immortal Emperor, as he sneered. So this means it's right of you to rob my things? If you put away what was in my box and say you stole an empty box, do I need to compensate you? You? Li Long, Immortal Emperor, was lost for words. Dao friends, please uphold justice. This guy is merely immortal king power and he dares to frame me for robbing his dustless fruit. He's too shameless. Li Long knew he was probably no match for Yi Mo and Shadowless alone. Even those few Immortal Emperor breaking restriction in the backyard of the palace came in to watch. No Immortal Emperor was dumb here. No one said anything. If Yi Mo was really an immortal king, why do you not go up but instead wait for us to bring justice? Do you think other people are idiots? Yi Mo also saluted with his fists. I'm Mo, you immortal sect leader Yi Mo. Of course, I hid my power a little. I just hope that when I seek justice no one twists the truth. Otherwise, you will be fighting against MOU Immortal sect. As long as I don't die, I will visit you one by one. EMO was helpless. He didn't have the power, so he could only threat. Haha. I've decided to join MOU Immortal sect. If anyone decides to twist the truth, I will visit them with sect leader. Yichong, Immortal Emperor, laughed. Hearing this, Yemo rejoiced, but he didn't have time to talk to Yichong yet. He saluted with his fists. I'm about to reach level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster. Those Immortal Emperor friends who wish to uphold justice can come to my MOU Immortal sect for pill concoction in the future. I would welcome you all greatly. Yemo knew that many people would feel annoyed about his threat and might even attack him due to that. So, he threw out that he was about to be level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster. Which Immortal Emperor didn't want to connect with a level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster? Although there wouldn't be people overtly speaking for Yemo, some Immortal Emperor had come over to chat with Yemo. No one believed Yemo would lie. Yemo wouldn't dare to lie in front of so many Immortal Emperors unless he was dumb. Li Long Immortal Emperor's face went pale. He didn't expect Yemo was about to reach level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster. If that was the case, no matter how right he was, not many would want to help him. Friends, after I deal with my private matter here, pill concoction will be easy. Yemo saluted with his fists. The Immortal Emperors here knew that Yemo was going to resolve personal issues with Li Long, so they stopped talking. Li Long Immortal Emperor was very annoyed. If Yemo wasn't going to reach level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster, he could get a few help. But with this, no one would stand on his side. Shadowless roared, seeing that his boss had stabilized the situation. He was ready to devour Li Long Immortal Emperor's domain. Without even fighting, Yemo had an Immortal Emperor tertiary stage on the side and a maniac that could devour domain. Li Long knew he had lost without needing to fight. What do you want? Li Long Immortal Emperor looked hatefully at Yemo. Yemo felt satisfied. He knew he couldn't kill Li Long Immortal Emperor here, even if other Immortal Emperors didn't attack. Yemo was using the excuse of dustless fruit to reap some benefits. Seeing that Li Long Immortal Emperor asked, Yemo said, Ji-Lei Immortal Emperor gave me the price of 40 immortal range for the dustless fruit. 20 of them are extreme grade. There's also 150 immortal spirit herb on top of that. Decide for yourself. Yemo added 10 more immortal range. Since he didn't need Jade Flow Void Wood, he didn't say it. Seeing Shadowless and Yichong Immortal Emperor who were keen to jump in, Li Long Immortal Emperor knew that he fell for it today. He took out a storage ring and gave it to Yemo. I only have these things. If you're not happy, then let's fight it out. He gave the things, but he couldn't lose his face. Li Long Immortal Emperor said, as though he knew that Yemo wouldn't regret. Yemo looked at the storage ring. There were 9 extreme grade immortal range and 27 middle grade and top grade immortal range. Other than this, there were tens of level 7 and above immortal spirit herb as well as 10,000 extreme grade immortal crystals. Yemo was planning on getting as much as he could. He knew that Li Long Immortal Emperor definitely didn't take out everything, but if he asked for more there would be a huge fight. Yemo didn't want to fight now, so thinking about this, he nodded. This is it then. Li Long Immortal Emperor breathed easy, and the other few Immortal Emperor on the side also breathed easy. If Yemo was to really fight, they could only persuade. They couldn't just watch Li Long Immortal Emperor getting killed. Yemo put away the storage ring and smiled to Yichong Immortal Emperor. Brother Yichong, you're an Immortal Emperor Elder of our MOU Immortal sect now. Yichong also laughed. I didn't expect I was able to join the sect of a level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster. This is my luck. Then Yichong said seriously to Yemo sect leader. My name is Long Huangtian, title Yichong. Yemo was happy thinking about an Immortal Emperor joining his sect. He didn't hide his title and said, my title is Eternity Immortal King. Before Yemo finished this, almost all the Immortal Emperors looked at Yemo. Yemo saying he was about to be a level 9 Immortal Pill Grandmaster was shocking enough, but this title was going to shock the world. Ever since the Immortal Realm had the title status tablet, no one had ever gotten Eternity. Eternity meant eternal life. Who dared to use such title for himself? There were many powerful titles in the Immortal Realm and even all sorts of god titles, but not Eternity. Sect leader, are you really Eternity Immortal King? This Hichong Immortal Emperor asked dazedly. Yemo smiled. Just call me Eternity Immortal King. Even if there's no such title on the title status tablet, I can name it myself. Okay. Haha. Hichong Immortal Emperor raised his thumb at Yemo. He admired Yemo's force. Every title was unique, so once you made others feel unhappy about your title, they could challenge you. For example, Sword King, if you got such title, then other Sword Immortals might feel you don't deserve it, so you would have to accept all sorts of challenges. Yemo's title was more powerful than any other title. But this way, no one would challenge him as this title didn't involve a specific domain. It just meant longevity and eternity. Usually those who gave themselves such title were madmen or those who liked to fool themselves. Who would start conflict with such people? Yemo was clearly thought to be such person by the immortal emperors here. His title didn't show on the title status tablet, so clearly he named it himself. Of course, if this title really appeared on the Immortal King tablet, it would be something else. The Eternity Immortal King approved by the Immortal King tablet was no simple matter. It would cause shockwaves across the entire immortal realm. It would even catch the attention of divine emperors. Every title on the Immortal King tablet had a special meaning and was made based on the unique attribute of each person. There was no mistake. Sect Leader Yi, Amdiyu. I come from Qingwei Heaven Martial Emperor Sect. This palace is ancient. According to the judgment of the few grand emperors, it doesn't belong to the immortal realm. We found large sums of restrictions and formation at the back of the palace. If Sect Leader Yi don't mind, you can join us and we can break the restriction together. Someone came over. Even if Yemo just stayed as level 8 Immortal Pill Grandmaster, people wouldn't want to miss out on the chance to connect with him. As soon as Du Immortal Emperor invited, a few more Immortal Emperor invited Yemo. Zhangren Immortal Emperor squeezed in front and said, Sect Leader Yi, we already know each other. Why don't you and Hichong Immortal Emperor join my squad? Our restriction is almost done. I believe we can finish it in a few years. Everyone invited Yemo, but no one called him Eternity Immortal King. This title was too unrealistic. Every Immortal Emperor here had lived for countless years. Yemo saluted with his fists around. I'm planning to go with Hichong Immortal Emperor to the back. Regardless, Yi is very happy to meet so many Immortal Dao Qian Bais here. As long as I can go out, Yi is very happy to concoct pills for everyone. Although Yemo said Qian Bei, his tone clearly meant that he treated them as equals. The other Immortal Emperors were just being polite. Now that Yemo didn't want to go with them, no one would keep inviting. Sect Leader Yi spoke clearly that he was willing to concoct pills but not for free. After the discord was settled, everyone went back into the backyard again. Yemo and Hichong Immortal Emperor went in too. After coming in here, he saw that the immortal spirit chi here was extremely dense and his spirit sense couldn't seem to scan to the end. Waves of restrictions were very clear, even the space formation door was clear. You can't scan to the end with your spirit sense in here and there's no way to enter the backyard. However, you can try to open the restrictions here. There's extreme grade immortal spirit fruit as well as top-level immortal materials. Hichong Immortal Emperor explained. Zhangren Immortal Emperor also nodded. Brother Hichong is right. There are top-level things in every restriction. The best is the blue fruit. Brother Hichong got too. Although we don't know what fruit it is, it can let Immortal Emperor break through a level. The only pity is that it's too hard to break open a restriction here. It might even take more than 10 years. Speaking of this, Zhangren Immortal Emperor subconsciously looked at the formation door and sighed. It's even harder to open that void formation door. Other than the 5 peak Immortal Emperors, no one else has been able to open it. Yemo went to a random wave restriction and felt it with his hand. He immediately felt the complexity of this restriction. This was a restriction he had never seen before. The means with which it was made was also completely different to the ordinary restrictions of the immortal realm. This restriction can only be solved but not forced open. If you break it by force, there would be an even greater repulsion force and everything inside the restriction would be ruined. I worked with them for nearly 10 years before we broke one of the restrictions. Chong, Immortal Emperor, added on the side. He was also hinting Emo that they wouldn't be able to open a restriction just by themselves. Emo didn't seem to hear it and kept feeling the restriction. After a while, he said to Chong, Immortal Emperor, "I've never seen such restriction before indeed. Brother Chong, go find another restriction and try to solve it or work with Zhengren, Immortal Emperor. I need to study this restriction. It might take a while." Hearing this, Chong shook his head. He knew that everyone who saw this for the first time wanted to see if they could solve it alone. In fact, after decades, rarely could anyone solve the restriction alone other than those few Grand Emperors. Even if they could, it wasn't a matter of a year or two. Emo was different to the rest. He really had confidence. Touching this restriction seemed like seeing a new gate to him. He wanted to settle down and use the three-birth chant to derive these restrictions. Even though Emo set down barrier restriction, no one cared. It was very common to do this. Soon, Emo immersed in the derivation of the restrictions. The three-birth chant's Tao waves were blocked by the barrier restriction, but some still seeped out. However, the immortal spirit chi of this place was extremely dense and there were ancient kais. Thus, the Tao waves weren't very eye-catchy. Sets of new restriction methods and theory were derived by Emo and soon incorporated into his formation Tao. Restriction was a part of formation. When Emo sunk into the derivation, his formation skills increased drastically too. Chong, Immortal Emperor, didn't ask to join Zhengren, Immortal Emperor's team. Their restriction was almost done. If he asked to join in now, it would be like asking for a free share. He found a restriction not far from Emo and tried to solve it alone. A year later, Chong, Immortal Emperor, saw that Emo was still deriving inside the barrier restriction. He couldn't hold himself anymore. Emo definitely wouldn't be able to break open it in a short time. There were 2 restrictions opened already and one of them had 3 Emperor Carrot. The other restriction had 2 primordial soul stones. Both things were invaluable. Emperor Carrot is one of the best level 9 immortal spirit herb in the immortal realm and the main immortal spirit herb for concocting Great Way Emperor Pill. This pill gave immortal monarchs 30% extra chance of reaching Immortal Emperor. Compared to the other Emperor Pillar pill made with level 9 immortal spirit beast core, it was much higher caliber. The two were incomparable. Another half a year later, Emo suddenly opened his eyes and threw out a few hand signs. The restriction he had been deriving for a year and a half easily opened. A space of a few cubic meters appeared before him. An ancient jade vase with floral carvings sat peacefully inside. But Emo felt this vase wasn't simple. There were restrictions wrapping the outside of this vase. One's spirit sense couldn't go in at all. By now, Emo realized that this restriction was completely different to Immortal Realm restriction means. If Immortal Realm restrictions were the basics, then the restrictions here were a new system after changing all sorts of basics. This mean showed Emo a completely new world to formation. After opening this world, he could fly free and devour all sorts of formation and restriction means. In a short year, his formation skills suddenly improved. Most importantly, his knowledge of formation was far beyond his original state. The 3-birth chant could derive everything, but Emo couldn't use it to create everything. He could only derive things if new things appeared and then expand on that. After taking this vase, Emo opened his barrier restriction. Emo saw that everyone was focused on restriction, and even Chong was with another team solving restriction. Emo didn't call him. For the second restriction, Emo only used half a month to solve it. There was a fist-sized white stone. Emo scanned his spirit sense into the stone, and his spirit sense felt very comfortable. The fatigue from solving restrictions were instantly gone. Other Immortal Emperor saw Emo break the second restriction. Chong, Immortal Emperor, charged up to Emo and asked, "Sect leader, you know how to solve the restriction here?" Seeing all the Immortal Emperors come over, Emo didn't hide it. "That's right. I've indeed mastered the way to solve the restriction here, but this method uses up a lot of spirit sense. After solving 2 restrictions, my spirit sense will retreat a lot. It would indeed use up some spirit sense, but with Emo's spirit sense power, he could recover very quickly." Hearing this, some Immortal Emperor's eyes were glistening. Emo started to solve the 3rd restriction. EMO only needed 2 days to open it, but since all those immortal emperors were watching, EMO could only waste half a month of time before opening it. Inside was a small blue tree with 5 fruits hanging on it. It's this fruit. One can allow an immortal emperor to break through once. Hichong Immortal Emperor immediately called. Those immortal emperors who hadn't got this fruit were looking at it with red eyes. EMO took the tree immediately. EMO, let's continue. There's so many restrictions here. Hichong Immortal Emperor said. EMO knew that if he really did that he would be over. He waved his hand. Brother Hichong, that probably won't do. It's easy to solve these restrictions, but it's a huge consumption on my spirit sense. According to my calculations, we can at most solve 99 restrictions here. If we go beyond that, there will be huge trouble. EMO just had that feeling, but his skills weren't high enough to guess an exact number, so he said 99. Then your intention is sect leader Yi? A rather coarse voice said. EMO looked at this person. He knew this person, they had chatted before. He was called Nong Yen, Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage, from Jinshang Heaven. EMO thought and said, with my own power, I can at most open 7 or 8 of these and I would receive backlash. However, I have another method, and that is I tell everyone how to open the restriction. You can use your own immortal essence and spirit sense to solve the restriction. Although it would be quite taxing, it's better than solving all the restrictions myself. Good. Sect leader Ye's idea is great. We definitely won't let sect leader Yi waste spirit sense for no reason. We will give you payment. All the nearby immortal emperor clapped in approval. They already guessed that EMO was lying, and they knew that EMO said this so everyone won't get angry at him for taking everything. Sect leader Yi, may I ask how long it would take to solve a restriction after you teach us? Nong Yen Immortal Emperor asked. EMO thought for a while and said, that would depend on people's cultivation level. If it's someone like you, I believe 3 to 5 months would be enough. Sect leader Yi, I have an emperor carrot here. I want to trade for a blue fruit from sect leader Yi. At the same time, I want to ask sect leader Yi to teach me how to solve on restriction. An immortal emperor walked up to EMO with a jade box. He could tell that EMO wasn't immortal emperor yet, so emperor carrot was very important to him. Hearing this, EMO was indeed a bit excited, but he soon forced himself to stay calm. If it was outside, he would definitely be overjoyed to trade an emperor carrot for a blue fruit and restriction-solving method. But in here, EMO wasn't that dumb. Hichong Immortal Emperor saw this and said, Sect leader, this friend got his emperor carrot here. EMO understood and smiled. Even if your emperor carrot can barely trade for my blue fruit, but you still want me to teach you restriction. I'm at too much of a loss. The other immortal emperors looked on the side and said nothing. Although it was EMO discussing business with this immortal emperor, they could use that price too once it was settled. Seeing this immortal emperor daze, EMO suddenly said, each restriction here would take me some time and a lot of effort to know what to do. My spirit sense isn't deprived right now, but once it is and there are mistakes, then it would take longer to solve the restriction. I'm actually more interested in immortal range. I'll give 3-3G immortal range for one restriction solution. One immortal emperor couldn't bear waiting and named his price. EMO didn't answer clearly as he wasn't happy with this price. The immortal emperor saw this and added, 2 more, 5 immortal range. 5 extreme grade immortal range was a heavenly price outside, but here it wasn't so special. Everyone had extreme grade immortal range and it could be dug at any time. Okay. Friend, please point which restriction you want to solve. EMO said. In a short half a day, EMO marked the restriction solution on a jade slip and gave it to that immortal emperor. Seeing this immortal emperor start, the rest of the immortal emperors took out their immortal range and dealt with EMO. The immortal emperor with emperor carrot quickly added another 5 extreme grade immortal ranges too. More than 10 days later, EMO got tens of extreme grade immortal range. He was very happy with this. Almost everyone went to solve restriction, and so did he. 2 months later, someone had already solved a restriction. This was far quicker than EMO had anticipated. At first moment, everyone else knew that the immortal emperor broke the restriction. Since everyone was working alone now, no one knew what he got nor did he show what he got. However, from his joyful look, people could tell it wasn't bad. This immortal emperor immediately took out another 5 extreme-grade immortal range, asking Emo to teach him another one. Emo came here for extreme-grade immortal range, so he didn't reject it at all. He also took time seriously and solved a few more restrictions. This was him intentionally dragging it out. Otherwise, he would be able to do tens of restrictions. He didn't know anything that he got from the restrictions, but he could tell they weren't ordinary, so he threw it into his golden page world. As time went on and the restrictions were solved, Emo kept collecting extreme-grade immortal range. When he had collected enough and people asked him for restriction help, he said with a pale face that if he kept doing that his sea of consciousness might be damaged. Many people guessed Emo was lying, but since he didn't go solve any more restrictions himself, they couldn't say anything. Plus, they exchanged immortal ranges for things that immortal ranges couldn't buy, so they didn't complain. Most of them left the palace to search for more immortal range. Emo said that he would start solving the space formation door once he has rested up. If he did, then they might be able to leave as well. According to Emo's words, he would only need a few years to solve it, so many immortal emperor went out searching for more immortal range during this time. When Emo started to study the space formation door, he realized it was so much harder than the restrictions. They were from the same origin, but the difficulty was completely different. 3 years later, Emo finally stopped studying. He had understood this space formation door. It wasn't something he could solve with his current cultivation level and formation skills. But once someone's cultivation reached a certain level, they could enter it even if they didn't understand formation. Hearing this, the rest of the immortal emperors were disappointed, but more of them chose to stay in the palace for solitary cultivation. Some with secrets chose to leave. Chong stayed in here, but Emo left this palace. He had enough resources now, and he needed to go find a place for solitary cultivation and to break through to Immortal Emperor. In the Golden Page world, Emo used tens of extreme-grade immortal range, and the time formation disc ran for decades, but Emo found in shock that no matter how he used immortal range, he couldn't progress anymore. Theoretically, Emo should be able to progress to any level if he had enough cultivation resources. He cultivated the 3-birth chant and had the bitter bamboo. He almost had no bottleneck. When Emo reached Immortal Monarch Tertiary stage and couldn't progress after wasting tens of immortal range, he began to worry. He was still that one step away from Immortal Monarch Peak stage. If he couldn't reach Immortal Monarch Peak stage, then he couldn't reach Immortal Emperor even if he had Taiwei Emperor Pill. Unable to cultivate, Emo could only get out the things he got from the restriction and then study it again. He didn't know these 2 types of immortal spirit herb, but he was certain it was at least as good as clear spirit heart lotus. And that white jade stone that could nourish spirit sense. Emo only knew it was good but didn't know what it was. At last, Emo picked up the jade vase. He felt the thing inside this was the best. When Emo's spirit sense carefully removed the restrictions, a frosty flow invaded his sea of consciousness, almost freezing his sea of consciousness. Real astral flame marrow? Emo blurted out immediately. He knew that only the real astral flame marrow would be this cold and not freeze. The next moment, Emo put a restriction on the jade vase without hesitation. He almost couldn't contain his excitement. His blue like morning sky was about to reach level 6 immortal flame. If it reached level 6 immortal flame and then devoured this astral flame marrow, it would definitely become a god flame, the number 1 flame of the immortal realm. He heard that Zhua, he divine emperor, vindicated Dao through a flame. Although he wouldn't do that, the flame that devoured this would be the best of the best flame. By then, just how powerful would his heaven flame 9 suns be? When Emo got back to the palace, he was dumbfounded. There was not a single person left in this palace. Emo stepped in and found in shock that all the restriction had disappeared. Emo remembered clearly that only tens of the restrictions were solved. How could there not be a single one left? Not only that, the space formation door was gone too. Emo immediately sent Chong Immortal Emperor a message, but there was no response. Shadowless. Emo immediately called out Shadowless. Even small ginseng came out since there was no one. Look at this, what is going on? Did everyone reach Immortal Emperor Peak stage and then left through the space formation door? Even if they left, where's the space formation door? Emo looked at the 2 with confusion. This is still the same place, but I feel the restrictions have been moved. Shadowless came to this conclusion. Emo nodded. He felt Shadowless was right. This was still the same place, but everything else disappeared. Boss, would those people have left here already and only we remain? Shadowless became nervous. What are you nervous about? Even if you leave, you would still be staying in the chaos world. There's no fucking difference. The only difference is if Boss makes it out. Last time Xiaoyun. Small Ginseng suddenly thought of something and quickly stopped. Shadowless said in contempt, you know nothing. Although that boss is immortal monarch power, he's not scared of even that Feng Kong. So when I go out, I no longer have to hide in the golden page world. But you, he? Small Ginseng immediately showed a look of surprise and joy and said without hesitation, you don't understand. If you can go out, so can I. Shadowless thought and agreed. Shadowless was right. Emo had devoured that many immortal ranges over the years. His cultivation level didn't increase, but that didn't mean his power didn't increase. His immortal essence power and sea of consciousness tenacity was no weaker than any immortal emperor. He even dared to test that Wuyin immortal emperor from the Wuxia Sound River. Emo longed from Mu Xiaoyun and MOU immortal sect and if people have ascended from MOU city. But now he was trapped here, making him very desperate. He searched every corner of this palace but still found nothing. Gonghua Heaven MOU Immortal City was the outer city of MOU Immortal Sect. Those who wanted to go into MOU Immortal Sect had to go through MOU Immortal City. Ever since the sect was established, it went straight up. Immortal kings came one by one, and eventually it became the sect with the most immortal kings in the low heaven domain. At the same time, it also became the strongest sect in the low heaven domains. It was great fortune for any immortal to join MOU Immortal Sect. Everyone in the low heaven domains wanted to join. MOU Immortal Sect was strong and had a newly ascended level 7 immortal pill Grand Master Kumu. It was due to this that no one dared to start any trouble at MOU Immortal Sect nor MOU Immortal City. But today was different. The formation outside the city was forcefully broken and the 2 golden immortal city guards were crushed to death. Since MOU Immortal City was so developed, news spread very fast. By the looks of it, people were going to completely stamp the MOU Immortal City. This news spread extremely fast. Soon, countless immortals came to watch and see who had the power and confidence to start trouble at MOU Immortal City. Qianbei. MOU Immortal Sect and MOU Immortal City has always obeyed the rules and never offended Qianbei. Why did Qianbei come start trouble here? Lu Feng immediately came up, and before her stood a man with a ferocious look. She had reached Immortal King for a while and could tell this man was at least immortal monarch power. If they fought, she couldn't resist at all. There were a few people behind this man. They were all immortal king power. 2 were even immortal king peak stage. Lu Feng had guessed who this person was as she knew 2 of the people behind this immortal monarch. One was the Heaven Lord Alliance's Ji Dao Immortal King Xianxia. The other was by Qi Immortal King Zhang Fengkai. Both of them came from Heaven Lord Alliance. The Heaven Lord Alliance had 2 immortal monarchs, Changtian Immortal Monarch Wei Guang and Yuxiang Immortal Monarch. Changtian Immortal Monarch hunted sect leader Luo and disappeared with Lu Jingxuan. This person was definitely the other immortal monarch. Yuanxiang Immortal Monarch was said to be much stronger than Changtian Immortal Monarch. If Lu Feng knew an immortal monarch came, she would definitely not leave the sect. The sect protection formation was 100,000 void defense kill formation. Even an immortal monarch wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. The man sneered and said, MOU Immortal Sect will cease to exist from today. Everything? Lu Feng's face changed and immediately said in shock, Qianbei. My MOU Immortal Sect. The man was more annoyed seeing Lu Feng interrupted him. You're the sect leader of MOU Immortal Sect? Qianbei Wanbei is MOU Immortal Sect Vice Sect Leader Su Jingwen. Our sect has never intervened in any Gonghua heaven matters and usually, we're very righteous. Why are you going to destroy us? Su Jingwen was Golden Immortal Tertiary Stage now. MOU Immortal Sect had 5 immortal kings. Now only Lu Feng and Kumu were here. Kumo only cultivated and concocted pills. As for Yin Hui, Hongling and Renfu, They were out seeking resources and weren't in the sect. Otherwise, Yin Hui came from the Grand Heaven domains. She would be much more confident that Lu Feng. You're the vice sect leader? A mere golden immortal? The immortal monarch studied Su Jingwen in shock. Her cultivation speed was fast and her looks were even better than before. Yes, I'm the vice sect leader, Su Jingwen said. Who is the sect leader to you? How can a mere golden immortal be vice sect leader? The man yelled. He could guess who Su Jingwen was, but no matter if she was related to the sect leader or not, he had decided to take her away. Su Jingwen immediately knew things weren't good. She could tell from this person's tone that they had enmity with Yimo. Lu Feng was very cunning and knew things weren't good. Before Su Jingwen could talk, she saluted with his fists. Chen Bei. Our sect leader has an immortal spirit herb garden in the sect. There are more than 10 level 8 and above immortal spirit herb and 1 emperor carrot. We're willing to give this over. Please let the MOU immortal sect go. Emperor carrot? The immortal monarch repeated. He really couldn't believe he could hear those words here. Take me to the emperor carrot, the immortal monarch said. Regardless of whether it's real or fake, he wasn't afraid of the two playing tricks. Lu Feng showed a hard face. Chen Bei, why don't you wire it here and we can take it for you? Ha. The immortal monarch laughed and then he stared coldly at Lu Feng. If you don't take out the emperor carrot today, you will regret living in this world. I won't even let a dog live in MOU immortal sect. Lu Feng's face changed. A mere immortal monarch dares to annihilate my MOU immortal sect? The emperor shall see how you're going to do it. A contemptuous voice sounded and a middle-aged man suddenly appeared outside MOU immortal city. You? The ferocious man looked at the middle-aged immortal in shock. The word emperor was too scary. Saying such word meant that this guy was an immortal emperor. Since when did MOU immortal sect have an immortal emperor? He didn't dare to believe it, but then he realized he couldn't see through the power of this person. The dominant pressure from this man made him realize this middle-aged immortal was an immortal emperor. Wanbei Low Heaven Domain Heaven Lord Alliance. Yuan Xiang greet immortal emperor master. The ferocious-looking man quickly bowed. Those few immortal kings behind didn't dare to show any disrespect. You just said you were going to annihilate MOU immortal sect? The immortal emperor said coldly. Yuan Xiang immortal monarch didn't have his previous dominance and quickly bowed. Wanbei don't dare to. It's a misunderstanding. I was tricked by someone. Oh, I said nothing just then. How do you know it's a misunderstanding? The immortal emperor scorned. Xiang Yuan immortal monarch sweated. He didn't know this king sect had an immortal emperor? Feeling the killing intent of this immortal emperor rising, Yuan Xiang quickly said Wanbei was appointed by Feng Kong and Dragon River Grand Emperor to coordinate the 11 low heaven domains. If Wanbei knew you were from MOU immortal sect, Wanbei definitely wouldn't dare to come. Xiang Yuan quickly brought out Feng Kong and Dragon River to show that he was their dog. Otherwise, this immortal emperor could easily kill him. This immortal emperor frowned when Yuan Xiang spoke of Feng Kong Grand Emperor, but then he raised his arm and hacked off Yuan Xiang immortal monarch's arm and took the storage ring on it before throwing the arm down. Yuan Xiang didn't dare to move. He wanted to say, if you wanted my ring, I'll take it off myself. No need to hack off my arm. Is that so? If you knew I was from MOU immortal sect, you wouldn't dare to come? I can only say you're lucky because if sect leader Yi came back, I can assure you that you won't live. Piss off. Hearing this, Xiang Yuan immortal monarch carefully picked up his arm and left with a bow. After they all had left, Lu Feng said shakily, MOU immortal sect Lu Feng greet immortal emperor master. Thank you for helping. Lu Feng didn't dare to believe an immortal emperor was of MOU immortal sect. Even in the grand heaven domain, an immortal emperor would be respected everywhere. The immortal emperor smiled and waved his hand. No need to be so polite. Did you think I'm lying to you? MOU immortal sect can't have immortal emperor. Lu Feng dazed. How could she dare to say that an immortal emperor lied to her? The immortal emperor waved his hand. Although I'm not from MOU immortal sect, but they really do have an immortal emperor. Although that immortal emperor hasn't come, he will come eventually. Ha! Lu Feng and Su Jingwen were both dazed by the words of this middle-aged immortal emperor. The immortal emperor said again, "You guys don't need to thank me. I know your sect leader Yemo. When he comes back, that immortal monarch will be nothing to him." The immortal emperor felt a little guilty. Those guys killed a few of MOU immortal sex people, but he let that immortal monarch go. To be honest, he didn't want to give Feng Kong Grand Emperor any excuse. Otherwise, Feng Kong Grand Emperor might kill him immediately. Hearing Yi Mo's name, Su Jingwen immediately became excited and asked, "Chen Bei, have you seen my husband? Where is he?" "Your husband?" the immortal emperor asked with a frown. Lu Feng quickly explained, "Jingwen is our sect leader Ye's Dao partner, so she's very worried about sect leader Yi. Wan Bei is too. Please tell us Chen Bei." The middle-aged immortal emperor realized, and as an immortal emperor, he even saluted with his fists to Su Jingwen. "So it's sect leader Ye's Dao partner. My bad. Sect leader Yi has helped me. I'm called Ji Lei. You guys can call me Ji Lei Immortal Emperor." "We don't dare to," Su Jingwen and Lu Feng answered. Ji Lei Immortal Emperor waved his hand. "I respect sect leader Ye's power and character greatly. Although I haven't seen him, I know his power is far beyond mine now. I actually came to Gonghua Heaven to see if sect leader Yi was back, but I didn't see him, so I left. On the way, I heard other people say that people were attacking MOU Immortal set, so I came back to look. That person has a strong background. I can't casually kill him, but I'm sure that once sect leader Yi is back, he won't be able to escape." This immortal emperor was Ji Lei Immortal Emperor. He hid in the lethal force space for a while and snuck back to the palace. Once there, he saw that almost all the immortal emperors were there. He didn't know Feng Kong Grand Emperor and them had gone in the space formation door, so he didn't mind seeing them there. Nor did he care that there were only 4 out of the 5 immortal emperor peak stage and the 4 of them were weakened. But Feng Kong Grand Emperor's words made him sink into the bottom. Feng Kong Grand Emperor just asked, "Is the dustless fruit on him?" And he knew that he wouldn't be able to keep it. It was impossible to keep the dustless fruit as an immortal emperor middle stage. Although his heart was bleeding, he had to give the fruit to the shameless Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Luckily, Feng Kong Grand Emperor gave him a blue fruit, saying that it would help him reach immortal emperor tertiary stage. Due to this, he didn't like Feng Kong Grand Emperor, but he didn't dare to overly offend him, so he didn't kill that immortal monarch. With the dustless fruit, Feng Kong Grand Emperor organized all the immortal emperors to attack the void formation door, and then the door cracked open. A small whirlpool appeared next to it and it shrunk rapidly. Some immortal emperors charged in and Ji Lei followed. After going in, he realized he was sent back to the void. After decades of searching, he finally came back to the immortal realm, and then he came to find Yi Mo immediately. Ji Lei Immortal Emperor trusted Yi Mo's capabilities. He knew from He Chong Immortal Emperor that Yi Mo taught Li Long Immortal Emperor a lesson, and knew that He Chong Immortal Emperor joined MOU Immortal Sect. He came here wanting to ask if Yi Mo could take on Feng Kong Grand Emperor, but didn't expect that Yi Mo wasn't back yet. Not only so, He Chong Immortal Emperor didn't come back as well. "Chen Bei, where can I find my husband?" Su Jingwen asked nervously. This guy was an immortal emperor, the only one who knew news of Yi Mo. If he left, then it was all too hard to find news about Yi Mo again. Ji Lei Immortal Emperor shook his head. "Even if you're immortal emperor power, it's impossible to find sect leader Yi, much less you're in golden immortal. My suggestion is to cultivate here. I believe sect leader Yi will come back one day." Then Ji Lei Immortal Emperor took out a communication bead, as well as the storage ring he took, and gave it to Su Jingwen. "I've removed the restriction on this storage ring. This communication bead is mine. If the sect needs my help, or if sect leader Yi is back, you guys can contact me. I'll be leaving first." As soon as Su Jingwen took the things, Ji Lei Immortal Emperor disappeared. Lu Feng looked at the empty grounds and her heart went on fire. From Ji Lei Immortal Emperor, she knew that their sect leader Yi Mo was on par with an immortal emperor. How could one not progress in a sect like this? "Jingwen, let's go back to the sect first. Work hard on cultivation. Only once your power is high can you go find the sect leader," Lu Feng said excitedly. Su Jingwen handed the things to Lu Feng. "Sister Lu, Let's leave the things with you. I don't have any use for it. I'm worried that after all these years, there's still not a second person from Luoyu continent who has ascended. Unable to find an exit in the palace, Yemo could only return to that danger space to keep searching for immortal range and then cultivate. Time passed quickly and Yemo's power rose up drastically. Constantly staying at this lethal force space, his body refinement cultivation broke through Immortal God Body primary stage and reached Immortal God Body middle stage. Later on, those lethal force couldn't even reach his body and was smashed away. At the same time, Yemo's immortal essence kept rising as well as his spirit sense and sea of consciousness. His heaven flame 9 suns even formed the 7th blue sun. His transmission god art was near level 4. His space shatter god art increased multiple times and his 5 lightning spear destruction god art became invisible. However, his cultivation level won't increase. No matter how many extreme grade immortal ranges he devoured, his cultivation level was stuck at that little bit from Immortal Monarch peak stage. This was the 107 thy ear at this dimension. Shadowless also carried this ferocious chi and the space lethal force couldn't get near Shadowless as well. Sometimes he would even devour it. EMO had countless immortal ranges collected. They were stacked up in mountains in the Golden Page world. Today, Shadowless and EMO came to the palace like usual. EMO couldn't find any other way out except in this palace. So, he would come check this palace every 10 years to see if there was a way out. Every time, he would precisely check every corner in this palace, especially the backyard. The palace was still ancient and Yemo still wasn't able to see through the secret of this palace. The palace was indestructible. But today, after checking the palace, Yemo didn't leave. He stared coldly at a cushioned seat and said, "Shadowless, block the exit. We can collect some debt." Shadowless said nothing and stopped at the gates. The instant Shadowless did so, a figure suddenly appeared in this palace. It was a black-faced man with a bitter smile. His cultivation level was Immortal Emperor primary stage. However, the chi from this Immortal Emperor couldn't trick Yemo. Yemo scorned at this Immortal Emperor and said, "Kaimi, you harmed another Immortal Emperor. I want to see where you can run to today." Then, Zissou was humming above Yemo's head. The purple sword rays spread out without Yemo needing to activate them. The black-faced man didn't release his magic artifact and said, "Yemo, there's no point in killing me. It's at most venting your anger." This man was Kaimi. He was hiding everywhere in here and meeting Yemo this time was a part of his plan. He didn't want to run and he knew that although Yemo was only Immortal Monarch tertiary stage, his Immortal Emperor primary stage was far weaker than Yemo. Since I can still vent my anger, it means that killing you serves a purpose. Yemo didn't fear Kaimi at all. "Yemo, if you kill me, you will never be able to leave. If you don't kill me, I can guarantee you a way out. I didn't plan to avoid you. If I did, you wouldn't even be able to find me," Kaimi suddenly said. Yemo frowned and said coldly, "You can go out? Then why don't you go out? Why do you think you're lying to?" Kaimi said calmly, "Yemo, you know I'm a divine emperor and you know this is my second time possessing. To me, I would never be able to return to my original power and I would never be able to surpass you this entire life, so don't worry about me. I can't leave indeed and I don't plan to leave. There are large amounts of immortal range in here and I can use them for cultivation. Of course, the main thing is that I don't dare to go out." He paused and said, "I can tell you some things you don't even know about. After you listen, you will know why I don't go out. Do you think with my current power I still need you to tell me things? Even if Feng Kong Grand Emperor comes. So what?" Yemo sneered. Over the years, he had cultivated at least a few thousand years in the time formation disk. He really didn't fear Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Kaimi sneered, "Feng Kong Grand Emperor is nothing. He's worse than trash in my eyes." Yemo said calmly, "You're a Dao Vindication Divine Emperor. When you recover your power, of course, you won't consider Feng Kong Grand Emperor a threat." "Dao Vindication Divine Emperor?" Kaimi suddenly laughed and looked at Yemo more seriously. "Yemo, in the immortal realm, Dao Vindication Divine Emperor is indeed the top, and in the ancient immortal realm, there was no Dao Vindication at all. But, once you reach Dao Vindication Divine Emperor, you will know how insolent you are. Emo didn't sneer at Kaimi this time. He knew that the stronger one got, the more they felt they didn't know. Tao Vindication Divine Emperor can have eternal life, destroy the world or tear any voids, cross realms. Isn't that the top? Emo asked seriously. Kaimi didn't sneer at Emo this time and said plainly, "Who told you Tao Vindication Divine Emperor has eternal life? I can tell you that I have yet to see someone with eternal life. I can't. Not even Truth Divine Emperor." Emo's face went serious. He cultivated diligently to achieve eternity and then help the people around him to be eternal. Now, Kaimi said that even a Tao Vindication Divine Emperor couldn't have eternal life. He was a bit lost. But he believed that, as a previous Divine Emperor, Kaimi wouldn't bullshit about this. Realizing this, Emo saluted with his fists. "Kaimi, I heard that Tao Vindication is very hard and you need all sorts of ways. Since you can vindicate Tao, why can't you attain eternal life?" "Tao Vindication is hard?" Kaimi laughed in self-mockery. "Do you now Tao Seeking Tower?" Emo nodded. Of course he knew, he had been in there in Yuanlu Heaven. There's 9 levels to the Tao Seeking Tower. The first 6 levels are Heart Demon Tao, Arts Tao, Magic Tao, God Art Tao, Law Tao, Reincarnation Tao. Many people know these 6 Taos and many have gone in. Then, Kaimi's tone changed, but rarely do people go into the last 3 levels. Even if people do, they can't understand what's inside. The 7th level is called Great God Arts Tao, level 8 is called Chaos Tao, 9th level is blank. No one can understand it. Emo didn't know why Kaimi said these things. Before Emo asked, Kaimi continued, "Actually, although there were 9 people in the immortal realm that vindicated Tao, but those were side Taos, including Truth Divine Emperor's Tao. Then, the immortal realm crumbled and people couldn't even vindicate side Taos." "Tell me more." Emo was shocked. This was the first time he heard that the 9 Tao vindicators of the immortal realm vindicated side Taos. Kaimi said heavily, "Side Tao doesn't mean that you can't become a powerful being. If you keep pressing forward, you can still become a powerful being and reach the pinnacle." Then, even Kaimi shook his head. "But that's too hard. It's almost impossible." "What is a side Tao?" Emo asked again. Kaimi said, "The so-called side Tao is vindicating Tao through a great God art. For example, my Law Tao Vindication, or Baizh was Flame Tao Vindication. When you learn a great God art law in the Tao Seeking Tower and convert your God art to great God art, you can use it to vindicate Tao if you're talented enough. Great God art has the power to turn the world over. When Baizh vindicated Tao, one speck of his flame could burn an entire planet." Emo sort of understood this, but he didn't keep asking Kaimi about this. Instead he asked, "Kaimi Divine Emperor, why did you say that you can't attain eternity even after Tao Vindication?" Kaimi showed a sliver of sneer. "Eternity? Emo, I admit you're a prodigy amongst prodigy. You have the best fortune and the most powerful talent, but no matter how you cultivate, you wouldn't be able to be eternal. If Tao Vindication meant eternity, then Truth Divine Emperor wouldn't be beaten till only a sliver of his soul remained in the void. I wouldn't only have a sliver of essence spirit left. The rest of the few Divine Emperor's souls completely perished." Emo touched his chin. This was the first time he heard someone say his talent was good, but he didn't interrupt. Kaimi also showed a look of confusion. "It said in the ancient times, there's a realm above the immortal realm. Some people call it God realm, some people call it divine realm. But later, that realm shattered and disappeared." "The realm that disappeared," Emo murmured. He thought of the words that appeared with his king naming. God realm disappeared. Stars don't show. Chaos reopen, order resettle. Yes, the realm that disappeared. Kaimi said definitely, ever since that realm disappeared, the world shall have no more eternity. After Immortal Emperor, people started to use the great God arts of Tao Seeking Tower for Tao Vindication. When the first person succeeded, he became the first Divine Emperor. Then, people used all sorts of methods to vindicate Tao. A few people succeeded, but compared to the countless cultivators, the successful people were too little. Seeing Emo about to ask, Kaimi waved his hand and continued, "Tao Vindication is just the first step. Divine Emperor is an arrogant title. because highest realm in immortal realm is Tao Vindication, so they are called Divine Emperor. In actual fact, Tao Vindication is the beginning of Tao art. The first step after Tao Vindication is Tao Molding, the second step is Tao Nourishment, the third step is Tao Actualization. Only one who reaches Tao Actualization Divine Emperor can be called Divine Emperor. Emo was very shocked. If you don't reach that step, you would never know how far that step was. So only once you're a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor can you be called Divine Emperor. Emo murmured to himself. Kaimi sneered. Tao Actualization? Tao Actualization is nothing? After Tao Actualization, you can gather your Tao into Essence to achieve Tao Essence Divine Emperor, and after that there is Primordial Essence Divine Emperor. In fact, even Primordial Essence Divine Emperor isn't the strongest Divine Emperor. Whether or not that is eternal life I don't know, but that's not something I can know. Emo took in a cold breath. He thought he was at the pinnacle of the immortal realm, but he found he was still too far from that pinnacle. Luckily, there was nothing that could threaten him in the immortal realm now. Those who could threaten him were only divine emperors, but it said that after the ancient battle they all disappeared, so he didn't need to worry. How do you know there's 3 steps to Tao Vindication, and there's Tao Essence Divine Emperor and Primordial Essence Divine Emperor after Tao Actualization Divine Emperor? Emo asked. Kaimi didn't answer Emo and asked instead, do you know how the 33 heaven domains of the immortal realm came to be? Emo nodded. I heard it's caused by the battle of the Divine Emperor Great Battles. If I'm not wrong, you were probably in that battle too, right? Why did many Divine Emperors attack Truth Divine Emperor? Kaimi nodded. That did indeed happen. After that battle, everyone was injured. But we're all from the immortal realm. Only if our brains are fried would we ruin our own foundation. Do you think we would battle in the immortal realm and shatter the immortal realm, causing laws to not even be complete? You guys didn't break the immortal realm into 33 heavens? Emo asked in shock. Kaimi reminisced the ancient times. The immortal realm was indeed split due to a battle, but it's not that we broke it intentionally. Due to the limitations of the immortal realm laws, when we're at our stage we can sense if new people reach Tao Vindication. In the immortal realm, it's always been 9 divine emperors. But one day, we sensed a more powerful person appear in the immortal realm at the same time. If it was before, Emo would be shocked and ask what was stronger than Tao Vindication Divine Emperor. But now, he knew that even Truth Divine Emperor wasn't the strongest. Kaimi continued, at the same time we appeared before that figure. That person was covered in wounds. He was heavily injured, but the chi coming from his body shook us. That chi made us realize that if he wasn't injured, we couldn't beat him even if all 9 of us joined up. So you guys joined up to fight that guy? Emo immediately asked. Kaimi nodded. That person was rather polite. He first apologized for appearing at the immortal realm, causing us to worry. He said he didn't do it intentionally, and when he healed he would leave the immortal realm immediately. However, his greedy eyes exposed that he definitely wouldn't be leaving right after he healed. What we didn't expect was that Truth Divine Emperor was the first to ambush him. At the same time, Truth Divine Emperor sound transmissioned us that this person had the secret to surpassing Divine Emperor and potential eternal life. If we didn't join up and this guy healed, he might kill us and control the entire immortal realm. In fact, other than Truth Divine Emperor, a few others were planning to attack that guy. Even I was planning to attack because his eyes were too scary. With that, everyone attacked that person at the same time. But after fighting, we realized that despite being heavily injured, that person was still countless times stronger than us. We were no match for him even after joining up. That battle faded the light of stars and the sun. We were from the immortal realm and worried about the immortal realm continent, but that person didn't care at all. His god art was great god art that we had never heard of before. The immortal realm actually cracked under his magic artifact. We had never seen someone with such terrifying god art. He could annihilate an immortal emperor with one breath. Even if you go to Qingwei Heaven now, you can see Qingwei Abyssal River. If an ordinary person goes over, he would be annihilated by the murderous chi there. This is because the river was created by that person's palm. After all these years, that person's killing intent is still there. Kaimi said with great after fear. What happened later? Emo asked. Kaimi murmured. The immortal realm laws had formed, but this person could break it and shatter the immortal realm, causing laws to be incomplete. This was a heavenly means. Because the immortal realm was stable, so despite breaking the immortal realm, it allowed the immortal realm to form the number of heavenly gang, 36 heaven domains. Kaimi continued, that person is too scary. In his fury, he formed a huge essence chi palm and grabbed a heaven domain, smashing at Wuxian Divine Emperor. Wuxian was smashed to death with a heaven domain. Then he grabbed 2 more heaven domains. Emo took in a cold breath. He knew that some immortal emperor and divine emperor could spirit control a planet, and heard that Zhuahe divine emperor could burn an entire planet, but in the vast space, there were too many planets. Most planets compared to a heaven domain was just a speck of dust. He came from Earth. If the Earth was thrown into Luo Yu continent's heartless sea, it wouldn't even cause a splash. Yet, any heaven domain of the immortal realm was countless times bigger than Luo Yu continent, and such a heaven domain was grabbed by hand to smash people? This was unimaginable. Even if an immortal emperor can damage a heaven domain through battle, and might even split apart a heaven domain with powerful magic artifact and god art, but this was a far cry from grabbing a heaven domain and smashing people with it. Isn't this person almost Tao actualization divine emperor? Emo asked in shock. Kaimi shook his head. According to my guess, this person is beyond Tao actualization divine emperor. He's probably almost Tao essence divine emperor. How does no one hear of such a powerful person afterwards? Emo asked. In fact, we all thought it was over, but Truth divine emperor hit his cultivation level. Kaimi sighed. The immortal realm was above to crack. In that time of desperation, Truth Divine Emperor's cultivation level suddenly rose and released a primordial spirit treasure, Immortal Carnage Tower, that we had never known about. At that moment, we were all dazed, but even that heavily injured person was dead. He watched as he was locked on by Immortal Carnage Tower and smashed. I remembered his last words were, primordial spirit treasure. In such a realm, you had reached Tao nourishment. You're saying that guy was killed by Truth Divine Emperor's Immortal Carnage Tower? Emo shivered thinking of that ghost ship. This Truth Divine Emperor was a really scary guy. That's right, after that guy was smashed by the Immortal Carnage Tower, he released a magic artifact wanting to smash open the Immortal Carnage Tower, but the tower was too scary. Although his power was stronger than Truth Divine Emperor, and he seemed to have heavily injured Truth Carnage Tower, his soul was still annihilated. The Immortal Carnage Tower can annihilate all essence spirit. Not a speck of dust was left. Kaimi said definitely. But after Truth Divine Emperor used the Immortal Carnage Tower, his spirit was withered and his face pale. Even a fool could tell he was at his wit's end. What we didn't expect was that Zhuahe Divine Emperor ambushed Truth Divine Emperor at this time and transmission to the rest of us. Kaimi showed a sliver of helplessness and bitterness. I heard Truth Divine Emperor was very arrogant and cocky. He never showed respect to the other divine emperors and always cursed at them. Was this why Zhuahe Divine Emperor ambushed him? Emo asked. Kaimi sneered. Truth Divine Emperor cocky? He's more forbearing than anyone? Zhuahe Divine Emperor's daughter fell in love with Truth Divine Emperor, but after Truth Divine Emperor took over her, he abandoned her. This might be the reason why Zhuahe Divine Emperor wanted to ambush Truth Divine Emperor. Of course, this is just my guess. Emo was speechless. This was completely different to the street story he heard. He heard that Truth Divine Emperor pointed at the Divine Emperor daughter and said, "You are mine now." Zhuahe Divine Emperor was successful in his ambush. We knew that Truth Divine Emperor was very strong and bleak, so we all attacked. In the end, Truth Divine Emperor self-destructed, and we didn't end up good either. Other than 1 or 2, the rest of us lost our bodies. After my body crippled, my essence spirit was greatly depleted, but I had a broken truth spirit world and I robbed a bloody spear. The spear came from that master. The information about Tao vindication came from the spear. I used a blood spear too, so I fused the 2 spears. Kaimi said. Emo was very shocked, but his face was calm. You stayed here to tell me all this and let you go? You know I have the time formation disk and perhaps the truth spirit world and chaos tree. Do you think I would let you go? Yours is truth spirit world? Kaimi repeated in shock and was a little disappointed. He thought Emo had a chaos world. Emo knew Kaimi was very cunning, and there was no way he would admit he had chaos world. Kaimi didn't doubt Emo's words. He didn't believe Emo could get chaos world. Now that Emo admitted it himself, he was disappointed, but he believed it. Truth Spirit World was still the most top-level thing. He relied on it to stay alive many times before. That Truth Spirit World eventually cracked in the bluish-gray space. I know your things are treasures in the immortal realm, but if you agree not to kill me, I can swear I won't spill it. I can even sever the memories of this away. Of course, I don't want you to just not kill me. As for whether or not you agree, let me finish first. Kaimi took out a jade slip to Emo and said, "There are things recorded in here that you have never seen before. It's organized from what I found in the blood spear. At my level, I know I wouldn't be able to catch up to you. Our path will be different in the future. I can't threaten you at all, and the dangers you face are much greater than me." Emo scanned his spirit sense in the jade slip. He immediately saw many things he had never seen before, including the blue fruit he got from the restriction. It was called Emperor Wood Blue Fruit. Emo immediately knew this jade slip was very important to him. He took it without hesitation. Kaimi's threat was very huge, and he didn't really plan on letting this person go, but he wasn't not going to take such good things. We came from the Star Beast place. They usually live at the border of a realm, so we're also at the border region. This palace has an ancient chi and a chi that doesn't belong to the immortal realm. I've seen this chi before. The person who suddenly appeared in the immortal realm also had this chi. This means that the palace and that person came from the same place. Kaimi looked calmly at Emo and said, "Feng Kong, those idiots forcefully attacked the Formation Foundation and actually broke a crevice into the void here. Although those idiots got away, the void fissure closed too. However, the Formation Foundation sealing the chi here was opened. At the same time, the chi of the palace is seeping out. One day, those powerful beings not belonging to the immortal realm would sense this chi and come to the immortal realm." "How are you so certain?" Emo asked in disbelief. Kaimi said heavily, "You haven't seen the eyes of that outsider. It was pure frenzy and joy. It means that they saw a more beautiful place than they lived." His face showed that he wanted to eat the entire immortal realm. Later on, from the blood spear, I realized how harsh their environment was. Some of this is my guess, some of this is information from the blood spear. They belong to a higher realm, but for some reason that realm crumbled and disappeared. And at that realm, the laws are broken too. This made them leave that broken realm and went to a place called the God Necropolis Domain to live. God Necropolis Domain? Emo asked in confusion. This name was too strange. He had been to Immortal Graveyard Valley and Long Graveyard Valley. He knew that places related to graveyards were usually barren and bleak. If the God Necropolis Domain was a place like that, then living there would be harsh. Kaimi said, "That's right, the God Necropolis Domain. The powerful being killed by the Truth Divine Emperor came from there somehow. Think about it. If those people knew there was a place as beautiful as the immortal realm, would they let it go?" Emo frowned. "The 33 heaven domains are very big. Even if we have them, it's fine." Kaimi sneered. "Do you know what those people are? Would they live here quietly? I'm certain that as soon as they come, the first thing they would do is take away every heaven domain and then spirit control it into their truth spirit world. The people of immortal realm are worse than livestock to them." Emo's face changed. Their realm was broken and the beautiful environment was gone. If they came to the immortal realm, how could they just find a place to live? He was too naive. "I really didn't expect it." Emo saluted with his fists and admitted to his mistake. Kaimi waved his hand. "You haven't seen their power. It's normal. Now, I'm going to talk about this palace. I don't know who set this palace up, but I'm certain that the Qianbei who set it up did so to seal the passage between that realm and the immortal realm. Perhaps this was to protect the immortal realm, but the Formation Foundation was broken by those idiots. Why didn't you stop them?" Emo's face changed. Kaimi said with contempt, "Do you know whose body this is? It's Feng Kong's henchman. If I came out, I would probably be killed by Feng Kong before I can even talk. Even if he listened to me, he would still kill me. Since they opened the space here and you can leave through the void, why didn't you leave?" Emo asked again. Kaimi sighed. What's the difference? I didn't have the chance to go, but even if I did, I feel there's no meaning. The formation here is broken. The immortal realm will definitely be discovered by people of the other realm. Once that happens, they would come to the immortal realm and spirit control all the heaven domains. Even if I go out to any heaven domain, I would still be spirit controlled. Emo realized what Kaimi meant. Kaimi thought that he had the chaos world, that's why he stayed to see him. But Emo was thinking, who set up this huge formation? Since that person did this, it meant his power was immense and wouldn't be going back to the broken realm. How come he hasn't heard of such person? Because I had a broken truth spirit world and I thought you had the chaos world, so I wanted to join you. But you don't. The truth spirit world is good enough. I'm willing to hand over my soul print and give you the way out of here if you protect me. Kaimi said. Emo sneered. And then possess me like you did to Lu Xianxia, right? Kaimi smiled bitterly. I can't even possess it all now. Your sea of consciousness is probably much stronger than mine. Plus, if I give you my soul seal, you can kill me with one thought. How can I possess you? Plus, I have a body now. How do I possess you? Now that Kaimi said this, Emo felt Kaimi was right. Thinking about this, Emo nodded. Then hand over your soul seal and tell me how to get out. I'm the sect leader of MOU Immortal sect. You will be one of my sect members now. Yes, sect leader. Kaimi said and then severed a sliver of soul seal without hesitation. Emo grabbed the soul seal and immediately knew that Kaimi was being for real. He could really kill Kaimi with one thought. At this moment, Emo's face relaxed and patted Kaimi's shoulder. Kaimi, as long as you don't talk shit and do wrong things, I will let you live very well. Okay. Tell me how to get out of here. Emo was certain that his formation skills were beyond level 7 Immortal Formation Grandmaster, but after hearing Kaimi, he realized that many things couldn't be solved with just formation skills. Kaimi was just a level 7 Immortal Formation Grandmaster, but his experience was much greater than Emo's. With his help, Emo found the formation door he couldn't find in 100 years in just 45 minutes. After leaving the void formation door, Emo let Kaimi move to the side. He didn't use Kaimi's method and open another void on the void Feng Kong and them opened. That way, the immortal realm would be exposed faster. Emo derived the space formation door while thinking about how to remedy the leak chi. At the same time, he was thinking about who had the power to set up such a formation. Kaimi didn't care at first, but later on he noticed something wrong. Emo's powerful formation Dao rune made him feel that even his own formation skills were improving. Kaimi's heart skipped, and only now did he truly feel how extraordinary Emo was. He released such powerful Dao waves when he was just deducing formation. How powerful would it be when he was cultivating? Kaimi soon sat and felt Emo's Dao waves. His body was destroyed and he slumbered in the truth spirit world for countless years. After waking up, he possessed twice. He had long lost the possibility of seeking Dao again. Yet feeling Emo's Dao waves now, he had new hopes. Time flew by, and in another decade, Emo suddenly woke up and started to build formation flags. Seeing Emo used refined star rock and immortal flame blue like morning sky, even Kaimi was dumbfounded. Even Truth Divine Emperor didn't have this many good things. But soon he woke up. What was Emo doing? Looking at Kaimi's inquisitive look, Emo said, Kaimi, you're right. This formation door is indeed the formation foundation of this dimension. It's been damaged heavily and the chi is spilling. I finally understand why there are so many immortal ranges here. They are the immortal spirit chi source for this formation. A powerful being set them here, and now we dug so many away. The formation foundation was also damaged by Feng Kong, that bastard. You want to repair this formation foundation? Kaimi asked in shock. Emo shook his head. I don't have the ability to repair it, but I can remedy the situation. I can't stop the chi from spilling, but I can delay it. I don't know exactly how long I can delay it for. Kaimi was astonished. He didn't expect Emo could repair such a powerful formation foundation. Seeing Kaimi's shocked eyes, Emo could only explain, in fact, I'm setting up another simple stealth formation. I can't connect it to the original formation. When Emo got out, he would use the time he bought to bring up his power. Even if he can't reach that Tao Actualization Divine Emperor or Tao Essence Divine Emperor, he would at least have to reach Immortal Emperor. If possible, he hoped he could use his Golden Page World to vindicate DOA. Another year later, Yemo turned all his refined star rock into formation flags. This hurt his heart a bit. He could have used it to upgrade Zisu. Seeing Yemo throw out tens of extreme-grade immortal range to provide immortal spirit chi, Kaimi respected Yemo. Kaimi, why did that Qianbei leave this palace and so many restrictions? Why did he leave behind a formation door? Isn't that giving people a chance to break it? And why did those restrictions disappear? Yemo asked. Kaimi thought and said, I've thought about this many times as well. Maybe that powerful being did this on purpose. He probably didn't expect so many immortal emperors to come here. If only one person came, then the powerful being left the door for him to leave. As for the things inside the restriction, it was probably for people to reach Immortal Emperor Peak so they can leave. I know a few Immortal Emperor Peak stages left through the Void Formation door, but they didn't get out. They came back and broke the formation foundation. Yemo said with confusion. Kaimi rubbed his head. I don't understand this too. Then he looked expectantly at Yemo. Do you have a way out now? Yemo nodded. I do. Then Yemo threw out a few formation flags he didn't use. It can open this place for a few seconds. Just follow me. As soon as Yemo spoke, a crevice opened up. Yemo took Shadowless and went inside immediately. Kaimi followed Yemo without hesitation. After the two left, the crevice shut immediately and the palace became dead silent again. Yemo stayed in the void and didn't leave immediately. He left a few formation flags here. When he was strong enough, he would come back to repair this formation and completely stealth the immortal realm. 3 years later, Fendu Heaven Jia Kuei Immortal City. A blue-robed young man walked into the city. He carried a sword immortal artifact on his back. From head to toe, he was dressed in the most ordinary clothes. Jia Kuei Immortal City was the largest immortal city in the Grand Heaven domain because many immortal ships left from here. People gathered here for the opening of secret realms. Kuei-Jia Immortal City had a ruin itself, and so it was usually always full here. Those who could come to Kuei-Jia Immortal City would at least wear immortal armor, even if it was low-grade immortal armor. No one dressed like this young man. But since no one could see through his power, people didn't dare to look at him. This was Yemo. He came to Fendu Heaven as soon as he and Kaimi came back to the immortal realm. One was because that Fendu Heaven was the closest to get back, and the second was because Saint Yi was in Fendu Heaven. He was hunted by Wuhui Immortal Emperor at the Wuxia Sound River, and Yemo had been worried what happened to Yi and Ding Jie. Although he knew the Wuxia Sound River didn't dare to do anything to the two, he was still worried. So when he came back, he went to Fendu Heaven immediately. When things here were over, he would search for Xiaoyun. Xiaoyun disappeared from Wuxia Sound River. Even if he couldn't find her, he would make Wuyin Immortal Emperor pay. The first thing Kaimi did was to go pick up the things he left behind, so he separated with Yemo at Fendu Heaven. Yemo had been to Jia Kuei Immortal City a few times. He knew the city was very busy, and he hid his power to Immortal King Middle Stage. He publicly announced he hid his power before, so all the immortal emperors he had seen didn't know his cultivation level. This way, if he exposed his cultivation level, people would only think he was already Immortal Monarch Tertiary Stage. If he didn't expose his cultivation level, then when he reached Immortal Emperor, he would say he was already Immortal Emperor. No matter how strong he was, he shouldn't get public outrage. If everyone knew he had Time Formation Disc, then he would be attacked by everyone. Truth Divine Emperor was a good example. Yemo came to the city wanting to use the teleportation formation here to go to Jiufan Immortal Pond, but when his spirit sense scanned a purple-robed man, he immediately changed his plan. He could tell this purple-robed man was Immortal Emperor Tertiary Stage and was the image that Ji-Lei Immortal Emperor showed him. This person appearing here was probably so he could auction the stone stool again. He didn't dare to buy it before, but if this guy still dared to sell it here, then don't blame him. Thinking about this, Yemo didn't follow this man and instead found the most luxurious immortal rest tower in the city. He wanted to ask around if there was a large auction in the city. If there was an auction, he would buy the stone stool. If there was no auction, then he would follow this man out of the city and rob him. He was Immortal Monarch Tertiary stage, but he had been stuck here for so long and used so many immortal ranges. He didn't believe he would be scared of a mere Immortal Emperor Tertiary stage. Plus, Yemo had to have that stone stool. He didn't know how long the formation in that palace could cover up the Immortal Realm's chi. If those powerful beings came to the Immortal Realm, it would be a catastrophe. Only if he perfected his chaos world could he take the people with him away. He didn't know what was going on with Zhakuei Immortal City. But there were many people in the city and the Immortal Rest Towers were full. As an Immortal King, Yemo was immediately respected upon walking in. However, the tower had no seats and even the lobby was full. These immortals came from everywhere and all sat in the lobby clearly to get some more news. Yemo knew that if he asked someone to move off a table, no one would object. But Yemo didn't like doing that. "Qian Bei, I'm going to leave, you can sit here." An honest-looking Great Eternity Immortal got up and saluted with his fists to Yemo. Yemo immediately replied, "Thank you, friend." Yemo sat down and the attendant on the side immediately came up asking what tea or fruit Yemo wanted. He was afraid that Yemo would get angry for having no seat. "Get me any kettle of immortal spirit tea." Yemo took out 1,000 top-grade immortal crystals. Spending 1,000 top-grade immortal crystals for just a kettle of tea, the nearby people could already tell Yemo was wealthy. Everyone quietened down with Yemo's cultivation level being Immortal King Middle Stage. Yemo was speechless. With a high cultivation level, he couldn't even find out some news here. The attendant took out a jade kettle from his storage ring and took out a jade cup, pouring a cup of tea for Yemo. "Wait!" Seeing the attendant was about to leave, Yemo stopped him. The attendant was just a golden immortal. Seeing Yemo stop him, he quickly stopped and asked carefully, "Qian Bei, what other orders do you have?" Just when he wanted to ask if there was some big auction in the city, Yemo's spirit sense scanned a familiar figure who was hurrying out of the city. Yemo rejoiced and immediately dashed out of the Immortal Rest Tower. He saw the first Immortal King he had seen in the Immortal Realm. He only knew this female immortal was a blue-dressed status immortal, but didn't know her cultivation level. Now he could see it clearly. She was an Immortal King Middle Stage. She was probably an Immortal King Middle Stage before as well. Yemo was excited because Nie Shuangshuang was taken away by her. Finding her meant finding Nie Shuangshuang. He really wanted to know how she was doing. Wuxia was very anxious. As soon as she reached the city with her martial sister, she received her martial sister Yuxiang's urgent call. She was hurrying over there, but not long after leaving the city, she was stopped. She could immediately tell that the person who stopped her was an Immortal King Middle Stage. She was desperate, but she didn't dare to get angry. "You are..." Wuxia recognized Yemo and there was inexpressible shock in her face. Yemo smiled. "That's right. I'm the person whom you said could at most reach Golden Immortal, but I'm not here today to repeat that. I'm here to thank you for saving my friend Nie Shuangshuang, and I want to take her away. Of course, I'll compensate you for that. You're already an Immortal King? This?" She stared at Yemo with pure shock, forgetting to even ask how Yemo came to the Grand Heaven Domain. How many years had it been? The hollow immortal she saw became an Immortal King. She said he could at most reach Golden Immortal, but now, she was still Immortal King Middle Stage while the hollow immortal reached Immortal King Middle Stage. Yemo stopped her. "That isn't the point. The point is, where is Nie Shuangshuang? Is she okay?" Yemo's tone was getting impatient. The Immortal King suddenly realized what she needed to do and quickly said, "Shuangshuang is fine. My martial sister is in danger, I need to go see her first." Then the blue-dressed Immortal King dashed away. Yemo frowned but didn't stop her and followed behind instead. "Brother Yi, I'm Wuxia. I was wrong about what I said before. Sorry. Shuangshuang is fine. After I find my martial sister, I'll tell you more." Wuxia saw Yemo followed over and quickly explained. She even felt she was no match for Yemo, so she was very polite. Yemo was anxious about Nie Shuangshuang, but she had to go save her martial sister. Everything was good as long as Nie Shuangshuang was fine. Plus, he knew this martial sister of Wuxia. It was probably that young girl who was great eternity immortal. Yemo's spirit sense soon scanned the young girl who played with him but helped him. She was stopped by two immortal kings, one immortal king middle stage and one immortal king tertiary stage who was very tall. A small bear-like immortal spirit beast rested on her shoulder with a sliver of fear in its eyes. The fiery red fur of the immortal spirit beast was very catchy. Martial sister. Yuxiang already saw Wuxia and called out. She still looked like a young girl and had a huge chest. Seeing people come, the two immortal kings didn't talk and just looked at Wuxia. Wuxia knew her martial sister caused trouble and quickly went up to the two immortal king and saluted with her fists. My martial sister is immature. If she offended you too, please forgive her. Haha. A person who cultivated to great eternity immortal has lived for countless years and you say she's immature? Do you think I'm a fool? Or are you a fool? The tall-looking immortal king tertiary stage laughed and scorned. Wuxia heard this and knew that Yuxiang caused quite some trouble this time. Her face changed and she yelled, "What did you do?" Yuxiang knew things weren't good, and she didn't have time to look at Emo. She just said sadly, "I just caught an ordinary immortal spirit beast and roasted it with Nuan. But they say the immortal spirit beast belonged to them. She really wanted to say that the immortal spirit beast wasn't necessarily theirs and wasn't necessarily a spirit-seeking rabbit, but she knew this wasn't the low or middle heaven domain. Hearing this, the immortal king middle stage moved his eyes away from Emo and coldly said, "You ate our spirit-seeking rabbit and you say it's not ours. Do you see spirit-seeking rabbits everywhere?" Wuxia's face changed. If it really was a spirit-seeking rabbit, then even if they gave everything, they wouldn't be able to compensate for that. Although her martial sister liked to do some cheeky things, she wouldn't be that dumb. Although she knew that she couldn't afford to compensate it, Wuxia still asked, "Dao friends, my martial sister is indeed immature. May I ask how to compensate for this spirit-seeking rabbit? We will try our best to compensate to you." Compensate? Can you afford it? My spirit-seeking rabbit can find an immortal range in a month and tens of level 7 and higher immortal spirit herbs? How are you going to compensate us? The tall immortal king tertiary stage sneered. Wuxia's face went pale. She really couldn't afford it. This was the grand heaven domain. She didn't even have a place to ask for help. Small Ginseng laughed and sound transmission to Emo. I don't know if the spirit-seeking rabbit was eaten by the girl, but I know the bear on her shoulder is an immortal range bear. Emo has heard of immortal range bears before. He didn't expect it to be so small and red-haired. The immortal range bears ate immortal crystals and immortal ranges and could find the best immortal ranges immediately. But Emo knew it wasn't very rare and precious. It grew very slowly and only when it matured could it find immortal ranges. Emo didn't know if Yuxiang ate their spirit-seeking rabbit, but he was certain the two immortal kings recognized Yuxiang's red bear was an immortal range bear. What's going on, you tell me? Emo walked up. You're Emo. Yuxiang recognized Emo immediately. She didn't see Emo at first, but now she immediately said in surprise and joy, "You're actually at the grand heaven domain. Your cultivation level definitely won't be golden immortal, Emo. I can't see your cultivation level." Seeing Yuxiang's joy and her completely different attitude to her martial sister, Emo was happy too. Before Emo said anything, Wuxia approached. "Yuxiang, martial brother Yi is an immortal king now. Don't be so casual." "Emo, you're really an immortal king. My martial sister said you would be golden immortal at most, haha." In Yuxiang's eyes, Emo was still the noob who bought return soul fruit at a low-level marketplace. Wuxia said helplessly, "Brother Yi, I'm really sorry, my martial sister." Emo waved his hand. "It's fine, we're old friends. I'm happy she calls me Emo Yuxiang. Tell me what happened before? If it's not your fault, I'll help you get justice." A mere immortal king middle stage dares to get justice. Piss off. If you utter one more word, I'll slay you here. The tall immortal king tertiary stage said in contempt. Emo's face sunk. Piss off. Regardless whether your rabbit was eaten, you can piss off. Ha. The immortal king laughed in anger. So arrogant. I've really never seen someone as arrogant as you. Before he finished, his purple runed ghost scissors was released. It turned into 2 huge blades and cut at Emo. Wuxia immediately felt the powerful Immortal King domain. Her face changed. She knew she was no match upon seeing this Immortal King domain. Before Wuxia could react, Emo kicked. This was a casual kick, no god art nor space lethal force. Wuxia dazed. An ordinary kick attacking half-extreme grade immortal artifact scissors? Was Emo a fake Immortal King or was his head dumb? This tall Immortal King was dazed too. He didn't expect there to be such an idiot. Was this guy dumb? But immediately he noticed something wrong. If Emo was an idiot, how could he kick in his Immortal King domain? Rumble. When they were still dazed, Emo's foot struck the scissors. That ordinary kick suddenly caused space whirlpools the instant before it hit the scissors. The space lethal force and Immortal King domain of the Immortal King tertiary stage was dissipated in this kick. The scissors was kicked away like an ordinary metal scissors. Meanwhile, this tall Immortal King spat a few mouthfuls of blood due to the backlash. This didn't end. His Immortal King domain spun rapidly and instantly pulverized his own arms. The tall Immortal King was dazed. He had never thought that someone could kick his scissors away just by standing there and then twist his arms with his own Immortal King domain. The other fatter Immortal King, Wuxia, and Xiang were also completely dazed. What Immortal King was this? Even the strongest immortal monarch shouldn't be able to do this. Seeing Emo walk towards him, the tall Immortal King called out in shock. I'm a sect member of Black Lightning Emperor sect. If you dare to kill me, you will die. Emo laughed. This is the first time I heard of Black Lightning Emperor sect. I'm going to kill you. What can Black Lightning Emperor sect do to me? But Emo didn't attack immediately, and instead glared coldly towards the city. At the same time, a sneer sounded. This emperor shall see who dares to kill my Black Lightning Emperor sect's member. The tall Immortal King breathed easy hearing this voice. He glared at Emo and his face went cruel. He knew this powerful Immortal King was dead. Emo immediately said in contempt, I'm going to kill him? What are you going to do? Ha! Before the person landed, he already saw Emo's look. He didn't look carefully who started a conflict with the tall Immortal King. Only an Immortal King would have a conflict with an Immortal King. He was an Immortal Emperor tertiary stage and Immortal Kings were like insects to him. When he saw this person was Emo, he immediately knew this wasn't someone he could mess with. He had heard of Emo's ferocious name and seen it with his own eyes. He even asked Emo questions. So it's sect leader Yi. Nong Yen didn't see clearly. Emo looked more ordinary now, but Nong Yen Immortal Emperor knew that Emo's power grew once again. Emo showed he was an Immortal King, but who knew what his power was? Emo admitted himself that he hid a little of his power, but who knew how much that little amount was? Emo said plainly, I heard you say who dares to kill your Black Lightning Emperor sect member, so I am still shaking. Despite saying that, Emo's killing intent was soaring. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor was very awkward. I didn't see things clearly. I believe sect leader Yi wouldn't take things seriously with a mere Immortal King. It must be that my sect member offended sect leader Yi. If so, I won't let it go easily. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor was awkward, but his words caught Emo. As long as his sect member didn't offend Emo first, then Emo can't really kill the Immortal King in front of his face. Everyone was dazed. Not just Xiang and Wuxia, but even the tall Immortal King opened his mouth wide in shock. What was going on? Nong Yen Immortal Emperor was the strongest Immortal Emperor in Black Lightning Emperor sect. He was at the top of Jinshang heaven. Who was Emo? A mere Immortal King, and yet he dared to say such words in front of Nong Yen Immortal Emperor. What shocked them more was Nong Yen Immortal Emperor's reaction to such words. Was this how an Immortal Emperor tertiary stage talked to an Immortal King? Was there some powerful backup Emo had? Even if sect leader Ye's backup was the 4 Grand Emperors, he can't be so rude to Nong Yen Immortal Emperor. Emo sneered and his killing intent soared. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor saw this and was more shocked. He didn't believe he could beat Emo. Although Emo and his dragon horse made Li Long Immortal Emperor back out and he was a little stronger than Li Long Immortal Emperor, but who knows if Emo had new encounters these years. He had no confidence in beating Emo at all, plus Yimo's sect also had Immortal Emperor tertiary stage. Plus, the 4 Grand Emperors weren't going to let Yimo go. Why start conflict with Yimo now? Seeing Yimo's killing intent rise, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor didn't dare to take things lightly. He yelled at the tall Immortal King. What happened? If you dare to lie at all, I will turn you to dust. Seeing even his martial ancestor this concerned with Yimo, how could the tall Immortal King not know that Yimo wasn't someone he could mess with? He quickly explained, Sun Hao Immortal King and I saw an spirit-seeking rabbit, so we chased it, but we lost it. When we found it again, we found she was roasting our rabbit, so... Yimo thought they were just scamming Yuxiang, but such thing actually existed. He subconsciously glanced at Yuxiang. She woke up from the shock and quickly said, Sorry. Nuan wanted to eat that rabbit as soon as he saw it. Nuan was too fast and caught the rabbit. I helped Nuan roast it. I didn't expect it tasted so good, so I ate some too. Wuxia, Yimo and Nong Yen Immortal Emperor had realized what happened. Yuxiang indeed roasted the rabbit, but the rabbit didn't belong to the 2 Immortal King, and they used this to stop Yuxiang. Realizing this, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor's face sunk. So you used this to rob her immortal range bear? Is that so? Yes. The 2 Immortal Kings said shakily. My bear is an immortal range bear? Yuxiang looked at her bear in shock. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor could tell the 3 already knew each other, so he said to Yuxiang, This is the fault of my sect members, please forgive. Yuxiang knew Nong Yen Immortal Emperor did this all because of Yimo. She didn't dare to really accept the apology and quickly bowed with Yuxiang. Master Nong Yen, it's Wan Bei's martial sister being naughty. I don't dare to accept such apology. Nong Yen nodded. Your immortal range bear's level is too low. It needs a lot of time to grow. I have a feeding manual here, have a look. Then, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor threw a jade slip and Yuxiang quickly caught it before bowing again. Sect Leader Yi, this is the wrong of my sect member. If you have any punishment, I will support it. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor saluted with his fists to Yimo again. Yimo didn't really intend to kill this Immortal King. Now that Nong Yen Immortal Emperor said this, he saluted with his fists, since Brother Nong Yen thinks it's fine. Then this will do. Hurry up and piss off. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor yelled to the 2 Immortal Kings. The 2 had long wanted to go. They quickly bowed to Yimo and Nong Yen Immortal Emperor before leaving. Haha, so sect leader Yi already made it out. I have been worrying. Brother Hichong has been worried about Brother Yi too. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor acted as though the incident before didn't happen at all and they were long-lost friends. Brother Nong Yen, how is my sect and Brother Hichong? Yimo asked. Brother Hichong is definitely fine, don't worry sect leader Yi. Feng Kong Grand Emperor has been taking care of him. Perhaps it's better to find news from Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor's words made Yimo's face sink. How could he not know that Nong Yen Immortal Emperor meant Feng Kong Grand Emperor already knew about him and didn't like him? Regardless of whether Nong Yen Immortal Emperor had good or bad intentions, at least he knew that Feng Kong Grand Emperor had his eyes on him and might even take Yichong to the Grand Emperor estate. Thank you for your remind, Brother Nong Yen. After things here are done, I will go visit Feng Kong Grand Emperor at his estate. Yimo said calmly. He saw in the Reincarnation Tao of Tao Seeking Tower that Feng Kong Grand Emperor treated him badly in his past life and there was a woman carrying him who was kicked down the stairs. He had to ask where that person was now. Hearing that Yimo was going to visit Feng Kong at his estate, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor's heart skipped. He knew he was far from a match for Yimo. Realizing this, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor changed the topic and smiled. Does sect leader Yi have business to do at Jiakuei Immortal City? Or did you bring your sect members to participate in the opening of the Jiakuei Secret Realm? Jiakuei Secret Realm? Yimo asked in surprise. This was the first time he had heard of this. Wuxia quickly said, Jiakuei Secret Realm is one of the biggest immortal spirit herb secret realms in the Grand Heaven domains. It has large amounts of high-level immortal spirit herb and opens every 10,000 years. Only those immortal king and below can go. I brought my martial sister here this time to go as well. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor nodded. That's right. There's large amounts of high-level immortal spirit herb every time. Sect leader Yi is an immortal pill grandmaster. You can buy some immortal spirit herb outside. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor was old and cunning. Seeing Yi Mo's slight change in expression when he said high-level immortal spirit herb, he immediately noticed what Yi Mo wanted. Nong Xie heard this, and although not daring to ask Yi Mo, she was extremely shocked. Yi Mo was now not only immortal king and didn't even fear immortal emperor. She even heard Nong Yen Immortal Emperor call Yi Mo sect leader, clearly meaning that Yi Mo started his own sect. On top of that, Yi Mo wasn't even scared of the 4 Grand Emperor, and his own sect had Immortal Emperor too. If this was shocking enough, Nong Yen Immortal Emperor's words that Yi Mo was an immortal pill grandmaster just turned her world upside down. Those who could be called immortal pill grandmaster could at least concoct level 7 immortal pill. How long has it been since Yi Mo reached the immortal realm? Even if he was constantly concocting pills, he wouldn't be able to reach level 7 immortal pill grandmaster. Haha. Okay. I will definitely go buy immortal spirit herb. Yi Mo laughed. It wasn't that he couldn't reach level 9 immortal pill grandmaster, but that he didn't have large amounts of level 9 immortal spirit herbs. Without it, he couldn't practice it. It was fine that he couldn't go in the Jiakue secret realm. He could buy things from outside. With his current power, who would dare to stop him buying immortal spirit herb? Reaching level 9 immortal pill grandmaster was extremely important to Yi Mo too. He had Emperor Carrot. If he didn't reach level 9 immortal pill grandmaster, he couldn't concoct Taiwei Emperor return pill. His cultivation level was stuck now, but if he reached immortal monarch peak stage, the first thing he would do was to concoct the Emperor pill. Plus, his Emperor pill lacked a few supplementary immortal spirit herbs. He needed to buy them too. Sect leader Yi, I stay at Black Lightning Immortal Tower. If sect leader Yi just came, you can come stay there. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor invited. Yi Mo could tell that it was their own immortal tower. He waved his hand. I still have some business. We can meet when the secret realm opens again. Nong Yen Immortal Emperor saw this and saluted with his fists before leaving. Since Wuxia was this familiar with Jiakue City, Yi Mo planned to ask her, so he didn't ask Nong Yen Immortal Emperor about the auction. Yi Mo, how did you suddenly reach Immortal King, and you're not scared of Immortal Emperor? Wuxia immediately asked. Wuxia, I told you not to be so rude. Wuxia reproached. Yi Mo waved his hand to Wuxia. He didn't like people like her. He would rather talk more to Wuxia. I just had some fortune. Yi Mo was then prepared to ask about Nie Shuangshuang. Wuxia seemed to know how Yi Mo felt and said without being asked. When I woke Nie Shuangshuang, I took her out once and she was taken away. Who is it? Yi Mo's face sunk. He thought that finding Wuxia meant he would be able to see Nie Shuangshuang easily. He didn't have to take her away, but he had to see her at least. Wuxia quickly explained. It's the Ice God Palace's second palace lord. She happened to come to Middle Heaven Domain and saw Nie Shuangshuang. She immediately wanted to take Nie Shuangshuang in as disciple. I didn't dare to say anything to the immortal god body, so I could only watch them take her away. At least Ice God Palace is an emperor sect. It's better than having Shuangshuang stay with me. Ice God Palace? Yi Mo immediately thought of the conflicts between him and the Ice God Palace. He killed the Palace Lord Lang Yin at the Heartless Sea. Plus, he got a small blue bead word in the Ice God Forbidden Grounds. There was an extremely beautiful woman in there called Qing Ru. Even now, Yi Mo still hasn't seen a woman with more perfect body than hers. Even Zhen Bingyu was at most on par with her. Thinking of Zhen Bingyu's perfect body, Yi Mo's heart rustled a bit. He shook his head. He had been with her for so long, and she even completely undressed in front of her and said she was willing, but he rejected her. Now that she wasn't with him, he was instead missing her? Wuxia was a woman and caught Yi Mo's days in expression. She believed the two were lovers. Thinking about this, she said, the 3 palace lords of the Ice God Palace are all immortal emperors. It said there's also a grand immortal emperor. They're a top-level emperor sect in Qingwei Heaven. Ice God Palace is in Qingwei Heaven? Yi Mo asked in shock. Wuxia immediately answered, Ice God Palace is a complicated sect. They have sects in the low and middle heaven domain, but then they disappeared. Only the Grand Heaven Domain sect remains, and they rarely come out into the world. An emperor sect would have annihilated branches? Emo asked in confusion. Wuxia explained. At first, they only took in female disciples but later started to take in male disciples. Their cultivation method is very unique and male and female disciples started to cultivate together, causing some complications. Emo didn't ask, he knew this complications meant lust. The original Ice God Palace is sacred and clean, but because of this situation, it made Ice God Palace no different to Demon Joy sect. Due to this, internal conflicts erupted, and this caused Ice God Palace to weaken. Wuxia clearly knew this thing clearly and continued. After that, those elders who only wanted to take in female disciples left the Ice God Palace. Then, some powerful elders left, causing Ice God Palace to greatly weaken. Because their sect location was very good, the Ice God Palace was gradually annihilated in sect battles. The Ice God Palace in Qingwei Heaven was created by the elders who left? Emo asked. Wuxia nodded. Yes, those elders took away 90% of Ice God Palace's cultivation methods and heritage and established a new Ice God Palace. When the original Ice God Palace perished for countless years, the new Ice God Palace came out, but the new one was Immortal Emperor level. No sect dared to underestimate them. They are now a powerful Emperor sect that only takes in female disciples. Where is the Ice God Palace located? Emo asked. He had decided to go to Ice God Palace after this. He needed to go to Qingwei Heaven to test that Fengkong Grand Emperor. No one knows the location of the Ice God Palace. They only know it's on top of an ice mountain in Qingwei Heaven. They detest men, and it's said if men appeared near their sect, they would be killed immediately. With their power, even Wei Feng Grand Emperor didn't want to say much. Emo didn't ask about the Ice God Palace anymore. Do you know if there's an auction in the city? Wuxia breathed easy, seeing that Emo didn't keep asking about the Ice God Palace. Because the Zhakuei secret realm is about to open in a few days, today is the highest level auction in the city. Marshall's sister and I bought entrance tickets. It said there aren't many things, but everything is the top level items. Emo immediately realized that purple robes really went to every big auction. Tonight, he had to get that stone stool. Emo gave an extreme grade immortal sword to Wuxia. Thanks for saving Xianxia. This is for you. Then, he gave a jade bottle to Wuxia. Hope you can reach Immortal King soon. And, I need to go to the city now. After the secret realm opens, I'm going to buy Immortal Spirit Herb at the gate. If you get Immortal Spirit Herb inside, you can sell it to me. Then, Emo turned and disappeared. Marshall's sister, why is this Emo this wealthy? He casually gave you an extreme grade immortal artifact. I think he wants to thank you for saving that Nya Xianxia. Wuxia looked at the extreme grade immortal artifact in admiration. Wuxia's face went red. She said Emo would stop at Golden Immortal and gave him some pills and measly amount of immortal crystals, but now Emo gave her an extreme grade immortal artifact. This was irony to the extreme. She didn't know that this extreme grade immortal artifact to Emo was about the same as 10,000 low grade immortal crystals that she gave to Emo. Instead, the thing Emo gave Wuxia was more valuable. After admiring her martial sister's extreme grade immortal artifact, Wuxia opened her jade bottle too. When she saw the immortal pill inside, she was dumbfounded and subconsciously exclaimed, "E-King pill!" Wuxia was also dazed. She quickly grabbed the jade bottle and found it was a E-King pill, a special grade one. Pack it up quickly, we need to go. Wuxia subconsciously looked around and quickly grabbed Wuxia, followed the direction Emo disappeared at. The biggest merchant tower in the Zhakuei Immortal City was the Xianlan Merchant Tower. The square at its door was filled with people. The Zhakuei secret realm was about to open. Many people came to participate in the auction, but its caliber was extremely high. The entrance fee was 100K. Many people didn't want to pay that much. That amount could be used to buy a lot of things. These immortals set up all sorts of stalls outside the merchant tower to trade things, forming a popular temporary marketplace. When Emo came to the entrance, the ordinary tickets were sold out. Only 500K immortal crystals front row seats were left. As for rooms, they were bought out by the sects coming here. Emo didn't care, he just paid 500K immortal crystals and bought a front row seats. He came to this auction only to buy that stone stool. Other than this, he wouldn't care about anything else. He would only buy if there was level 9 immortal spirit herb, but Emo knew that this auction was before the opening of the secret realm, so there would probably be less immortal spirit herbs. For hours later, the auction commenced. Emo went in first. He knew that if the purple-robed man was going to fish, the stone stool wouldn't be coming out later on. That purple-robed immortal emperor wasn't going to waste much time here for it. There almost wasn't much difference between the 500k ticket and 100k ticket. Only the seat was more front and had a few simple blinds. These blinds couldn't even stop spirit sense. The auction grounds were huge. People sat on all sides. The stage was at the center and its area was huge. There were formations on the side. Just the ticket earnings for this time was 10 billion. Emo knew he wouldn't be staying in here for long, but he didn't care. This was his first time sitting in the hall of an auction. If it was before, he wouldn't dare to do this. Sometimes power could save you a lot of trouble. If one left the auction in the hall during the middle, then almost everyone could see, but if you were in a room, no one would know. People entered the auction grounds in an orderly fashion. People rarely used spirit sense to scan around. No one coming to the auction was a simple character. They hated people scanning around with spirit sense. Emo wasn't going to scan with his spirit sense. Since that purple-robed immortal emperor came to Xianxia Immortal City, he was probably here for the auction. 5 minutes later, everyone had come in and the gates closed. In the center was a seductive great eternity immortal. She didn't wear much, but her clothes wrapped her body perfectly. Immediately, she became the center of attention. Thank you Chen Bais for coming to our Xianlan merchant tower for the auction. I'm the auctioneer for today, Han Yen. After this, an extremely powerful spirit sense swept the entire scene. This spirit sense scanned on Emo, and Emo immediately knew that this person was an immortal emperor tertiary stage. Everyone knew what this meant. There was an immortal emperor guarding this auction. Everyone on the auction had to follow the rules or suffer the consequences. But no one who came to the auction was stupid. No one would start trouble here. After that spirit sense wave, Han Yen smiled. This auction will have a mysterious item. It's one of the top items in the entire immortal realm. Han Yen believed that everyone would want it after seeing it. After saying this, even Emo wanted to know what it was. This woman really knew how to entice people. Just when everyone hoped for her to say what the item was, she changed her tone. But this item will be coming later on. Please wait patiently, everyone. The first item of the auction today will be an Emperor Wood Blue Fruit. This item is very hard to see in the immortal realm, and it can allow an immortal emperor to break through a level without no side effects. Han Yan's words immediately made some people excited, especially those immortal emperors and immortal monarchs. Even this fruit wasn't the top item, just how amazing was that top item. Hearing this, Emo was shocked. He didn't expect it to only be the start and there to be such an item. There were some immortal emperors in the Grand Heaven Domain, but there weren't that many. One Heaven Domain had about 10 to 20. A powerful Heaven Domain would have no more than 50. What shocked Emo the most was that someone recognized this fruit. He could recognize it due to Kaime's Jade Slip. Now that someone else recognized it too, then it meant other divine emperors saw this fruit. People started bidding immediately, and the bids clearly came from the rooms. The price soon reached 5 billion immortal crystals and an extreme-grade immortal range. Even ordinary monarch sects wouldn't be able to afford this price, the extreme-grade immortal range part. But Emo knew that this price wasn't high for people who went to that palace. Eventually the price settled at that. This was mainly because Emo took almost all the extreme-grade immortal ranges off the immortal emperors. Now that these immortal emperor came back to the immortal realm, of course they would use the immortal ranges for their cultivation home and sect. Emo was certain that this immortal emperor paying this extreme-grade immortal range definitely came from the palace, or he wouldn't be this wealthy. I will be auctioning the second item now. The Great Eternity Immortal Female Immortal purposely stopped for a while and gathered everyone's attention before she continued. The second item is a half-god artifact, a defensive one. Yao Lang Abyssal Mist Seal. The starting price is 200 million immortal crystals. Each increment must be no less than 10 million. Then, The great eternity immortal female immortal raised a palm-sized seal. It had this faint mist surrounding it. It was obvious this seal wasn't ordinary. Emo could see that too, but he didn't want to buy it. He had a broken octagonal cauldron. If he repaired it, it was a god artifact and one much stronger than this seal. Many people bidded on this item and the price soared from 200 million to 500 million and was eventually bought by someone in a room. The subsequent items were all beyond Yi Mo's anticipation. Even he didn't expect the items would be of such high caliber. Although there were a few things Yi Mo wanted, he resisted the urge to buy. Before acquiring the stone stool, he didn't want to do anything to garner attention. Yi Mo noticed that the things were getting better and better, and clearly other people noticed this too. The auction was getting more and more heated. Level 8 runes, level 8 immortal pill, and even one level 9 beast core. Other people were getting more and more excited, but Yi Mo was getting more and more anxious. According to his estimates, the stone stool should be out now, but it was nowhere to be seen. Yi Mo thought about the man giving up on this fishing tactic. After all, it was no secret now, but this was the best method for him. Since there was such a huge auction here and the purple-robed man was here, why hasn't the stone stool appeared yet? If it wasn't that he might offend everyone, Yi Mo even wanted to scan all the rooms in this auction with his spirit sense. I believe everyone is very happy with this auction, but I need to tell everyone that the climax is just about to begin. The next item is the mysterious item I spoke about. Before I show it, please allow me to introduce it. This great eternity immortal female immortal used tactics to gather attention on her again before saying, everyone knows that in the immortal realm, what decides how high one can reach is whether they have a good cultivation method or not, and cultivation resources or fortunes. But these are secondary. I believe everyone knows the main reason. That's right, immortal spirit root. Without a good immortal spirit root, no matter how much resources and fortunes you have, you can't reach higher levels. Immortal spirit root is settled after conversion to immortal essence. Who can change it? Is there an item that can change immortal spirit root being auctioned? Someone asked immediately. When cultivators ascended to the immortal realm, their spirit root would convert to immortal spirit root. Usually, the element of the spirit root wouldn't change, but during the conversion process, many people would get impurities, causing a prodigy in the cultivation realm to become an ordinary person in the immortal realm. Of course, some people would get better immortal spirit root after the conversion. These people are highly sought after by the big sections. Although the immortal realm had treasures that changed immortal spirit root, they are rarer here compared to the cultivation realm. Not even immortal emperors may be able to get it, much less ordinary people. Even immortal emperors desperately needed things that could change their immortal spirit root. Seeing the atmosphere of the auction was at an all-time high, the great eternity immortal female immortal continued. The following item isn't an immortal spirit herb that can change immortal spirit root. Before people could ask, she continued, this is a prenatal immortal ice spirit root female immortal whose cultivation essence hasn't converted yet. With this, the auction erupted. Prenatal meant that this was a spirit root coming with birth. At the start, one couldn't see the cultivation speed of this spirit root, but after reaching disaster transformation state, the cultivation speed would suddenly skyrocket. After ascending to the immortal realm, the spirit root wouldn't change at all. It would only get more and more pure. Because this spirit root is immortal spirit root, after ascending to the immortal realm and the cultivation essence wasn't converted to immortal essence, the spirit root could be stolen. The way to do that was simple, just one dual cultivation. However, once the cultivator started cultivating immortal realm cultivation method and converted cultivation essence to immortal essence, this would no longer work. There were other ways of taking the prenatal immortal spirit roots, but dual cultivation was the most direct and simple way. One could imagine that if a cultivator took this prenatal immortal ice spirit root away, then even the worst spirit root immortal wouldn't have to worry about cultivation speed. With such spirit root, even if you didn't have much cultivation resources, there was hope of reaching Tao. The great eternity immortal female immortal suddenly waved her hand and a figure appeared next to her. An extremely beautiful woman wearing blue flowery dress appeared before everyone. Her face was pitiful, but she was clearly subjugated. Such a beautiful cultivator. some people exclaimed. People already started asking about the price. The prenatal ice spirit root was already a huge surprise, and yet she was such a beautiful female immortal. Emo knew all this too, and he was amazed that the auction could even obtain such a cultivator. But when Emo saw the female immortal through the projection, his face changed. Without a thought, he torn open the formation at the auction stage and grabbed the female immortal into his arms while kicking away that great eternity immortal female immortal. This all happened in less than a second, and that great eternity immortal female immortal was kicked away spitting blood. How dare you start trouble at our Xianlan merchant tower? Die? A cold voice sounded, and at the same time, a powerful immortal emperor domain came down. The immortal emperor tertiary stage pressure made all the immortals here feel hard to breath. Everyone used their cultivation method to defend against such pressure while cursing Emo for being an idiot. Who didn't want good things? If people could rob things in an auction, then this world would be in chaos. All the good things would belong to the divine emperors. The immortal emperor didn't even attack Emo. Emo was a mere immortal king middle stage. He wasn't worth it. At this moment, the 4 immortal monarchs on the side had charged on the stage and attacked Emo. 1 immortal king middle stage, but 4 immortal monarch attacking together. One could see how tight this auction was. Emo sneered. His powerful immortal monarch domain expanded out, and at the same time, Zisu let out a purple ring. The ring flashed and 4 blood arrows flew on the stage before landing on the ground. Clap! 8 claps sounded, and the 4 immortal monarchs turned into 8 pieces of bodies. No essence spirit seeped out. Clearly their essence spirit was annihilated in that strike. The auction scene fell silent. No one made a sound. The people here weren't simple. There were many immortal monarchs and immortal emperor in the rooms. But Emo's strike silenced everyone, killing 4 immortal monarchs in just a few seconds. No matter how strong these immortal monarchs were, Emo's strike was the pinnacle god art of the immortal realm. Even an immortal emperor was at most like this. People realized that this thing wasn't so simple. Clearly, it was an immortal emperor who killed the 4 immortal monarchs on the stage. He just hid his power to immortal king. There were some strange immortal emperors who didn't want rooms and instead sat in the hall. This was no strange thing. Some immortal emperors in the room had recognized Emo. Many of them stayed in that palace with Emo. They knew Emo was hard to mess with and wasn't simple. Nong Yen immortal emperor saw Emo too. He was surprised. Emo was strong, but no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to challenge a big guy like Xianlan merchant tower, right? They had 3 immortal emperors and a mysterious supporter. This immortal emperor tertiary stage of the merchant tower realized things didn't seem to be right. He immediately flew down to the stage. He was no idiot. He knew Emo was no immortal king. Can an immortal king kill 4 immortal monarchs with 1 strike? This guy was not only not an immortal king but an immortal emperor who was no weaker than him or maybe even stronger. I'm Xianlan merchant tower Sha Yu immortal emperor. Who are you? Why are you starting trouble at our auction? Even if you're an immortal emperor peak, you will be held responsible for the incident today. The immortal emperor fell on the stage and asked. Emo was an immortal emperor stronger than him. The later he attacked, the more it benefited him. He wasn't the only immortal emperor at the merchant tower, but because the caliber of this auction was too high, he came to guard here as he was the strongest. Emo ignored this immortal emperor. When he saw this selling item was Tang Bei Wei, his fury was completely ignited. Even if the 4 grand emperors were here all in front of him, he would still kill much less a merchant tower with a few immortal emperors. When Tang Bei Wei saw Emo, there was only excitement and endless joy. Her nose felt sour and tears welled up in her eyes. There were thousands of things she wanted to say, but she couldn't speak a thing. Emo instantly released Tang Bei Wei's restriction when the immortal emperor spoke. Brother. Tang Bei Wei ran into Emo's arms. She could no longer hold her emotions and bitterness. She had been separated from Emo for 200 years. She thought she would never be able to see her brother again. But when she was at her most helpless time, her brother appeared before her. She didn't care about all the eyes glancing at her. She was only thinking that if she could see her brother before she died, she would have no regrets. When Yimo really appeared before her, she thought it was an illusion. But feeling Yimo's arms, she knew this was real. Bei Wei, it's my fault, I didn't take care of you guys. Yimo felt very bad. Tang Bei Wei heard Yimo's voice and began crying out loud like a child. Finally, she found her family. Finally, she found a shoulder she could rely on. She could only keep crying to express her happiness and bitterness at the same time. This title made everyone realize what happened. No wonder this immortal emperor killed people in fury. The auction was selling his little sister. Could an immortal emperor's sister be sold at an auction? No immortal emperor would be able to take that. Those greedy glances at Tang Bei Wei immediately disappeared. Sha Yu, immortal emperor, dazed. He completely didn't understand why an immortal emperor still had a newly ascended little sister. This was too absurd. If they weren't real brothers and sisters, this female immortal wouldn't be able to express such genuine feelings. Sha Yu, immortal emperor, soon cast this thought aside and casually saluted with his fists to Yimo. Dao friend, we didn't know we were selling your sister. We're very sorry about this, but we didn't capture her. Someone else captured her and sent her over. After seeing her, you can pay our price and take her away, but you tore open our formation and killed 4 of our immortal monarch. Do you think you're the strongest in the immortal realm? We don't have many immortal emperors, but we have 3. Yimo took out a pill to Tang Bei Wei and said coldly, Xianlan Merchant Tower? That's in the past. From today on, there will be now Xianlan Merchant Tower in the immortal realm. If he didn't happen to see his sister being caught, her end would be tragic. Yimo didn't want to reason with Sha Yu, immortal emperor. If he didn't have enough power, Sha Yu, immortal emperor, wasn't going to reason with him. Even so, he was asking for compensations. Hearing Yimo's words, Sha Yu, immortal emperor, was furious. His terrifying immortal emperor domain expanded. Yimo waved his hand and sent out Shadowless, who was talking shit in the Golden Page world. As soon as Shadowless came out, he opened his mouth and that powerful grand immortal emperor domain was crippled. Sha Yu, immortal emperor, was shocked, but Yimo already punched over God Art Shatter Space. The terrifying lethal force whirlpool instantly swept the auction grounds. The sound of space tearing shook people's hearts. It was as though the next moment, this space would be crushed by Yimo. Some low-level immortals were spitting blood despite this god art wasn't targeted at them. The immortals rushed out of the auction grounds out onto the square. Other than some immortals who didn't want trouble, most immortals stayed at the square, who wanted to miss the grand battles between immortal emperors. Those immortal emperors in the rooms didn't leave, even some immortal monarchs didn't leave. They wanted to see this battle. When his domain was bit open by Shadowless, Sha Yu, immortal emperor, knew that if he didn't use Black Snow Return Life, he was going to lose. This immortal emperor was stronger than him, but now there was an even more absurd immortal spirit beast who could devour domain. He didn't even know what this immortal spirit beast was. But now he didn't have the time to think. Yimo's shatter space was too terrifying. All the seats and blinds in here were torn to dust. Even the rooms upstairs were beginning to crack. In another second, they were pulverized too. These powders didn't fall on the ground, and instead joined the lethal force whirlpool and smashed towards him. The people in the rooms retreated, but no one intervened, as that would mean helping Sha Yu, immortal emperor, attacking Yimo. Even those who didn't know Yimo didn't want to offend a powerful immortal emperor like Yimo now. Even people from the merchant tower started fleeing. His god art lethal force whirlpool had been gathered within a certain range. Otherwise, with his current power, he could clap away the entire immortal city easily. Sha Yu, immortal emperor, felt the lethal force whirlpool was formed by 9 space lethal forces. When it swept over, he felt it wasn't 9 but 90 or 900. It had the power and madness to destroy everything. Sha Yu, immortal emperor, regretted a little, but he wasn't slow or retaliation. A black 3-cornered flag and a blue bell was released. There was this whimpering sound as soon as the black flag was released. Even Tang Bei Wei, who was protected completely by Yimo, began to daze. Those immortals outside couldn't stop this sound at all. Some people even stabbed into their chests with their own hands. Some immortal emperors could tell that Sha Yu, immortal emperor's magic artifact was half-god artifact, tendon-breaking twisted god flag. Once released, even some weak-willed immortal emperor would lose their minds for a short time. Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor used this flag to create a huge name for himself. More than a few immortal emperors had died in his hands. Xiaoyu felt threatened by Yemo and didn't want to fight with him, but that wasn't because he was afraid of Yemo. His flag could control people's minds, and Yemo didn't look very old. Even if Yemo's power wasn't weak, his mind cultivation definitely wasn't adequate. However, what shocked him was that Yemo wasn't affected by the flag at all. Instead, the Shatter Space Fist Force was growing. At the same time, Yemo yelled, "Shadowless." Without a need for this calling, Shadowless already opened his mouth and bit to the flag. The whimpering sounds immediately disappeared. However, the lethal force whirlpool became even more terrifying. When everyone had left this place, the merchant tower shook, and this grand merchant tower was swept in the lethal force whirlpool, too, forming a terrifying flow striking towards Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor. The immortals who retreated to the square immediately knew that Yemo intentionally gathered force and didn't release. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to leave at all. Rumble. Yemo's shatter space finally struck with Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor's blue bell. A terrifying sound swept over the place. Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor felt his blue bell pause, and he immediately knew things weren't good. Yemo's domain was more fierce than he had imagined. Meanwhile, his domain shattered due to Shadowless. Clank clank. Although the blue bell stopped the Shatter Space Fist Force, the blue bell was struck away under the pressure of Yemo's domain. The fist force was blocked, but the remaining lethal force whirlpool still struck Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor. In that instant, a huge ravine appeared below his feet. Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor also spat many mouthfuls of blood. Thud. The merchant tower that was powdered by Yemo fell into the huge ravine. All the immortals on the square could hear the terrifying rumble and the flying dusts. A few watching immortal emperors waved their hands and the dust disappeared. Now, the audience finally saw that the previously erect merchant tower was suddenly gone. A ravine that wasn't completely filled up took its place. Just how many treasures would a merchant tower have? But it was now destroyed and buried underground. Xiaoyu saw the extremely dimmed-down flag and was very shocked. He thought that even if he was no match for Yemo, the difference wasn't too great. But after that clash, he immediately knew that he was far weaker than this immortal emperor. "Stop!" Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor immediately called out. Yemo acted as though he didn't hear it and said to Shadowless, "Take care of Bei Wei." Then, he stepped in air and struck out Zisu. A 3,000-meter-long purple sword rays struck down. A ravine appeared in mid-air as though space was severed in half. The nearby space all fell into that ravine. Li Long Immortal Emperor knew that Yemo only hacked out less than 5% of his full power. He had seen Yemo's strike reach 30 kilometers, but now it was only 3 kilometers. Clearly, Yemo didn't want to damage the immortal city. Even so, the force of this purple sword rays made people nearby not even dare to look at it. Some low-powered people didn't even dare to scan their spirit sense. The sword force was still gathering, but the ground beneath had completely cracked and was getting deeper and wider. Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor's face was green. How could he not know that Yemo wanted to kill him? He was shocked and furious. He didn't understand how this random guy had no concerns at all killing an immortal emperor in the immortal city. He was more furious that there were so many immortal emperors watching and no one came up. Even his best friend Demon Joy Sect Xian Feng Immortal Emperor pretended that he didn't see anything. The pressure from the purple sword ray was getting more and more terrifying, and his immortal emperor domain was beginning to cripple again. Xiaoyu Immortal Emperor couldn't worry about other things now. His flag whimpered again, and in half a second, black snow flowers started raining. When everyone saw these black snow flowers, it was as though these snow didn't land on the ground, but on their hearts. A few weaker level great immortals who stared at the battle didn't even make a sound and palmed the top of their head. The black snowflower didn't float into Tang Beiwei's sight yet, and Shadowless roared, devouring the snowflowers. Sizzling sounds arose. Those black snowflower looked weak, but when they landed on the powerful purple sword ray, the sword ray paused and even the space near it began to slow down. Yemo frowned. He didn't expect the black snowflowers would be able to do this. He felt this uneasiness feeling in his heart. A light wind blew past and Emo felt those black snowflowers slowly surround him. They carried this extremely melancholic whimper. In that instant, Emo resonated with that feeling. These snowflowers should be white, but due to that endless sorrow, they became black. How could he hurt them? Emo almost couldn't resist touching that black snowflower. He almost couldn't resist walking towards them. It was as though Xianxia, Luoying, Yimo and them were there. All the figures he had seen flew past him. "Hold me tight, I have mobility rune," Luoying said as she took him out of magical herb sect. "If I jump off, would you jump off with me?" It was Luo Xian. How is she now? Where was she? "Husband, I'll go wherever you go," Xiaoyun called. "Three birth eternal. The name is eternity," his immortal king naming. But why did he feel something was wrong? Just what was wrong? Sha Yu Immortal Emperor's face was pale. When he used Black Snow Return Life, he saw Emo days. He saw that sword ray slow down. Emo was slowly walking towards him as though he had lost his mind. There was a cruel look on Sha Yu Immortal Emperor's face. A yellow beam shot out. "Little sister, wait. Boss is in trouble." Shadowless immediately noticed something was wrong with Emo. Yemo's killing intent on the sword ray was disappearing. This wasn't how the boss did things. Boss never showed mercy once he attacked. Shadowless flew in and bit down. The endless black snow immediately crippled, forming a black stream towards Shadowless's mouth. Crack! A spear ray appeared in Yemo's eyes. Emo suddenly woke up. The three birth chant flowed freely again too. The next moment, Emo actually felt his cultivation level that hasn't risen after devouring countless immortal ranges rise. It was very slow, but he clearly felt that if it kept increasing, he would eventually reach Immortal Monarch peak stage. Rumble. Sha Yu Immortal Emperor's yellow beam had reached Yemo's chest. Emo didn't care at all and instead charged towards it. At the same time, Zisu's crevice lit up again. The 3 kilometers long purple crevice in the air smashed down with a terrifying black mark. Splurge. The crevice fell down from Sha Yu Immortal Emperor's brows and his eyes immediately dimmed down. He looked at Emo unrelentingly but didn't want to fall. He didn't understand why Emo didn't stop his lethal blow and wanted to die with him. When the yellow beam exploded on Yemo's chest, can Emo survive? Thud. At the same time, the yellow beam exploded on Yemo's chest. Yemo's clothes ripped and marks of blood flew up. However, he didn't fall down like Sha Yu Immortal Emperor. The yellow beam just bloodied Yemo's chest but didn't pierce through. "I understand," Sha Yu Immortal Emperor said before blood mist shot out of his forehead. He finally fell, and before his essence spirit could seep out, Shadowless ate it and threw a storage ring at Emo. "Brother!" Tang Beiwei reacted and ran to Emo. Yemo's chest looked bloody, but he was fine. "I'm fine." Emo patted Tang Beiwei's shoulder and ate another blue spirit essence pill while putting on a new set of clothes. Emo didn't say much to Tang Beiwei as he knew more people from Xianlan Merchant Tower would come. But this time it was 2 Immortal Emperor primary stage. One person hid amongst the crowd while the other charged towards him. The 2 Immortal Emperors saw Emo hack open Sha Yu Immortal Emperor and Shadowless devouring the essence spirit. The Immortal Emperor appeared calm, but there was extreme shock in his eyes. Devouring an Immortal Emperor? What immortal spirit herb was this? "Dao brother, why did you kill Sha Yu Immortal Emperor? If our Xianlan Merchant Tower offended you, we're willing to compensate. Even if you're a divine emperor, you can't casually kill our Immortal Emperor like this," the Immortal Emperor primary stage said. After killing Sha Yu and turning the Xianlan Merchant Tower to dust, Emo's anger was finally appeased a little. "Kill Sha Yu Immortal Emperor? Little thing, you're too naive. Boss means that Xianlan Merchant will disappear forever. You dare to reproach him? Whatever. It's the last time you'll be doing it in your life." Shadowless laughed and sealed off the escape path of this Immortal Emperor. He was very satisfied to act so cool in front of so many people. The Immortal Emperor primary stage's face changed. He didn't expect Emo to be this dominant. There were so many Immortal Emperors here, why did no one say anything? If they were so easily annihilated, they wouldn't survive till today. The Immortal Emperor primary stage glanced at the cold-faced EMO and the greedy Shadowless, and his heart sunk. He didn't dare to ask EMO anything and just looked at the watching Immortal Emperors and spoke. Xianlan Merchant Tower is about to be exterminated. Everyone here are Immortal Emperors, beings who stabilize the 33 Grand Heaven domains. Wu Ming really want to ask why no one has come out to uphold justice. Zhang Ren, Immortal Emperor, was close to EMO, so upon hearing this, he sneered. Your Xianlan Merchant Tower was selling sect leader Ye's little sister in the auction. Sect leader Yi saved her, but Sha Yu, Immortal Emperor, asked for sect leader Yi to compensate. Wu Ming, Immortal Emperor, you've reached Immortal Emperor for more than 10,000 years. Tell us how we should uphold justice? We should gang up on sect leader Yi and kill him to protect Xianlan Merchant Tower, so you guys can keep auctioning his sister. Zhang Ren, Immortal Emperor's words immediately caused some laughter. Yi-Mo collected a lot of immortal ranges in the dimension, but also connected with some people. There were 6 or 7 Immortal Emperors from that palace here. Other than Li Long, Immortal Emperor, the rest of them quite approved of Yi-Mo. Wu Ming, Immortal Emperor, dazed. He didn't expect such things had happened. He only noticed Tang Beiwei next to Yi-Mo now. He immediately recognized her now. What shocked Wu Ming the most wasn't Yi-Mo killed Sha Yu, Immortal Emperor, but Yi-Mo gaining the formal support of Zhang Ren, Immortal Emperor. Anything could be said in 2 ways. It depends which side the supporters we retaking. If Zhang Ren, Immortal Emperor, was supporting him, he would say that Yi-Mo was being cocky and disrespecting the rules of the auction. Then he destroyed the Merchant Tower and killed an Immortal Emperor. This was seriously endangering the entire immortal realm. Wu Ming had realized the situation at stake and quickly saluted with his fists to Yi-Mo. Sect Leader Yi, I was out and didn't know we offended Sect Leader Yi. Wu Ming is willing to apologize and give our most genuine apology. Wu Ming wanted to calm Yi-Mo down first. How could things end like that after killing their Immortal Emperor and bringing down their Merchant Tower? Yi-Mo was going to regret going against Xianlan Merchant Tower for a woman. Yi-Mo said calmly, I said Xianlan Merchant Tower will disappear from now on. Second, compensate 100 level 9 immortal spirit herbs, 10 billion immortal crystals. The third is whoever sent my sister to Xianlan Merchant Tower, you guys must hand over the person to me. Wu Ming's face changed and said with trouble, Sha Yu, Immortal Emperor's death is our fault. I don't dare to judge if Sect Leader Yi is right or wrong on that matter. Personally, I'm willing to apologize to Sect Leader Yi. But us 3 Immortal Emperors aren't the ones behind Xianlan Merchant Tower, but a being above Immortal Emperor. Plus, as a member of Xianlan Merchant Tower, I'm not going to spill the privacy of the customer, of course. Yi-Mo didn't wait for Wu Ming to finish before expanding his domain. Lethal force instantly swept out. At the same time, Zissou hacked out too. He gave them a few conditions, but it didn't mean he was negotiating. Wu Ming dared to negotiate with him, constantly speaking about the Merchant Association, and wasn't going to hand out the person who caught Tang Beiwei. He was also subtly threatening him. So what if it was beyond Immortal Emperor? Kaimi was a Divine Emperor? Did he think that bringing out a non-existent Divine Emperor would make him scared to attack? He could tolerate other things, but his sister was almost ruined. Even if there was a primordial essence Divine Emperor behind him, he wasn't going to take it. With Yi-Mo's attack, Wu Ming's face changed again. He didn't expect Yi-Mo to be this dominant. He didn't even say anything. He was at least an Immortal Emperor and spoke of a support who was beyond Immortal Emperor. When Yi-Mo's domain covered him, his Immortal Emperor domain was like a ship in a tidal wave. Not good. He was far from a match for Yi-Mo. Wu Ming realized immediately and released his magic artifact. Before he could completely activate it, Yi-Mo's shatter space had arrived. The sword rune tore apart everything in front of him. He could only barely block with his magic artifact before being hacked away. Wait, I agree. Wu Ming was scared soulless. He didn't expect Yi-Mo would be this terrifying. Yi-Mo didn't seem to hear this and punched again. Shatter space swept over. Splurge. Blood mist flew, and Yi-Mo's punch had pulverized this Immortal Emperor primary stage. Shadowless looked at this in disappointment while licking his lips. An Immortal Emperor primary stage, and he wasn't able to eat it, sigh. The square outside was filled with people from Hollow Immortal to Immortal Emperor. There were even some mortal cultivators, but when Yemo did what he did, the square was in complete silence. Immortal Emperor was already the peak of the immortal realm. How many people could cultivate to Immortal Emperor? It wasn't easy for them to see an Immortal Emperor, much less see one get killed. But now, 2 Immortal Emperors were killed right in front of their faces without leaving behind a mark.